Welcome back to the channel. This is Trinity Storm and you are watching What If Naruto Crashed Hinata's Wedding. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe to this channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
Oh no, I think I've been a vagrant for a year or so. It has been a year since my village and some of the people I loved betrayed me. I truly have no idea where I am or even if I'm headed in the right direction, but if they haven't been able to change their ways, I will go back to my village and either save them or destroy them. You ask, who am I? In most places, I'm called the Wanderer, and have long since stopped using my real name. It's tempting to stop at the nearest friendly village and forget about my bastard of a village. But I can't. I have to go back because I once met a girl who, despite all logic, liked and even fell in love with me. If it's just to see her face again, I'll be back. She is my hope in the dark, the bright spot I want to be close to, my Hinata. I had no idea at the time. I just seemed to forget everything she did for me other than her tenacity when things seemed hopeless. She never did anything particularly noteworthy to catch my attention. Most people perceived her kindness and gentleness toward everyone as a weakness rather than a strength. If you're wondering how I was so foolish for not seeing that she cared for me, I understand. However, let me share with you, in brief, how I came to understand her love for me. About 4 years ago, I was shocked to see her sitting on a bench and staring at her feet as I was leaving early in the morning for a special long-term training mission. I said, "Hinata?" And she jumped and flushed wildly. She stammered out, hello na Naruto-kun. Hinata, what are you doing out here so early? She looked at the ground as she answered, well it's, and nothing. There has to be a reason, Hinata. No one is out this early, so what is it? I concluded. The white-haired moron, Jiraiya, interrupted her as she was saying, well there is this, thing, I wanted to. Hey brat, let's get going. You can talk to your little friend when we get back in 3 years. When Hinata learned how long I would be gone, she gasped and began to cry, but once more, I was too naive to understand why she did that. As I turned to leave, I heard a high-pitched squeak that sounded like a no. I turned to face the shy Hyuga, who had a red face and sparkling wet eyes. Sorry Hinata, I have to get going. See you in 3 years, okay? I said. She blurted out, nah Naruto-kun, please come back to me safe, and then came the action I never imagined I could or would experience. She gave me a cheek kiss. I never felt so warm in my life. In that brief moment, someone my age genuinely cared about me and wanted to keep me safe. I simply shrugged them off, but suddenly I remembered things I had long forgotten. I totally missed the true meaning of the little words of encouragement, the pictures of pearly eyes watching me from a distance, and even the little gifts she desired for us to be more than just friends. And when I finally understood everything, I oddly just wanted to give back everything she had given me. When I swiftly grabbed her wrist and pulled her back, her embarrassment overcame her and she started to run away from her action. Her eyes widened as I drew her closer. I'm not sure how she did it, but she remained upright throughout the entire ordeal. Even though she would typically faint in such situations, a thrill of excitement ran down my spine, unlike anything I've ever experienced, and I leaned in to gently touch her lips. I gave her a firm hug and whispered in her ear after breaking the kiss. I'm sorry for never noticing before. I was too obsessed looking at Sakura to realize what I really wanted was being freely given by you. Thank you for caring. When I return, we should really try go out. You mean like a date? She asked in her quiet, lovely voice. No Hinata-chan, as a date I would like to date you, if you're okay with it. Oh, nah Naruto-kun, it's like a dream come true. Why yes I'll go out with you. Great, I'll look forward to it. I'll try to send you a message if I can while I'm gone. I gave her a little wave and said goodbye to my new crush, or maybe my new love. In order to go train with the super pervert, she nodded, and we reluctantly broke the embrace. With the aid of a messenger toad that I had learned how to call upon, we were able to exchange letters frequently during my travels. As we both came to know the people behind our respective masks, our relationship grew steadily. She got to see the abandoned child who would become Hokage, whom I kept hidden from the cruel villagers, and I discovered that she liked pressing flowers and eating a lot of sweets. At the end of her letters, I noticed that she would scribble out the word before her name and simply end it with Hinata. However, there was one instance where her scribbling was not very good, and I was able to decipher the word love from it when I found the one word I always wanted aimed at me. My heart skipped a beat even in her letters, which always made me smile. Hinata maintained her shy demeanor. I hope she doesn't change too much, but a little more self-assurance would go a long way for her. Over the training mission, I found myself thinking about her more and more, to the point where I longed to meet her again and even more to receive another letter even though he was hardly present. Ero Sennin detested having my focus split. I've always been told by Ba-chan that I had the best luck of anyone she's ever met, but as my training came to an end, my good fortune ran out. Oh no. How come I've been wandering for 3 years now? Great, now I'm talking to myself even worse, I'm talking back to myself, claiming he's some powerful fox or something. Perhaps I'm going crazy. I guess I can pick up where I left off. That snake bastard and Sasuke were discovered by my sensei. What's his name, and me approximately 2.5 years into the mission. I don't remember many specifics of the battle now, but I do recall that while I was fighting Sasuke, my sensei took on the bastard. The bastard fled to die from a mortal wound without his gay nurse Kabu whatever to heal him after I unintentionally took more chakra from Kyuubi than I had intended and lost control in what we called the four-tailed state. Even worse, I couldn't let go of the grief I felt for killing my brother. We picked up his body and left for home after deciding that was enough training. We learned halfway through that Tsunade, Godem Hokage, had passed away from an unidentified blood disease that was fatal. It is believed to have been genetic and contributed to the early death of her grandfather. Shodem Hokage. My sensei took the news very personally and told me to continue ahead of him while he went to get something. As a result of what transpired when I got back, I never really saw him again. When I arrived at the gate of Kaikon, my hometown, everything went horribly wrong. I was arrested on the spot and found guilty by the city council of killing both the Hokage and a village ninja. I'm not sure how they did that, but it happened anyhow, and I was given the death penalty. I was also blamed for the death of their hero, the last Uchiha. Yes, a lot of my friends, acquaintances, and senseis would have tried their hardest to prevent this, but the majority were away on missions at the time. As they drugged me through my village's streets, they gained more supporters for the lynch mob. The words, "Kill the demon," and "He murdered 2 Hokages," were hurled at me in addition to rocks and other hard objects. The strange chains I was bound to must have been made of metal that consumed chakra, because every time I tried to break free, I felt a tremendous drain of chakra leave me. Finally, I couldn't be killed with my necklace, which was the last item I had to honor the Hokage. Although I was in a lot of pain right now from killing my friend and the terrible pain being inflicted, that was nothing in comparison to what was about to happen. Some of my friends were drugged past me, and their expressions weren't ones of friendliness. While a few of them had conflicted expressions on their faces and some appeared to think I deserved the punishment, Hinata's expression was the worst. Even though her face had aged and become much more refined, it still had the adorable quality that I had grown to love over the years. Even though she was incredibly beautiful, those eyes broke my heart. Those eyes were filled with sorrow and concern, not with hatred for me. She was able to run toward me through the crowd. I tenderly held her hand as she approached, staring into her teary eyes until she let out another cry. "The demon is trying to kill the Hyuga princess, stop him." Someone's tonfa, that damn bastard, gave my wrist a strong blow, shattering it. The typically quiet heiress yelled, "No, stop it. He's done nothing wrong." Quit hurting him, but was dragged back by a group of Anbu, who kept her from approaching too closely. I lost sight of her and attempted to reach out, but my arm was smashed down again when I was drugged past Sakura. She just gave me a furious look and continued beating me. She ran away from me, screaming, "You promised you would bring Sasuke-kun back to me. You broke that promise. I hope you rot in hell." To me, I continued to question whether she was fully aware of what was going on with me at the time. Although he was somewhat dead, I suppose I fulfilled her promise by bringing him back. I hope that she will eventually forgive me, but I don't blame her for her hatred, because I would also despise anyone who even considered hurting Hinata. I was chained and tied to the execution pole, and the beating eventually stopped. Through my bloodied vision, I could hardly see anyone in attendance. From that vantage point, the city council speaker declared that I had committed crimes and that my punishment would be death by total fire incineration. I heard the angelic voice above the throng at that precise moment. My angel cried out, "No, you can kill him. I love him too much. Please, don't take my only love away from me." Before fading away in tears after hearing her, I realized that I had fallen deeply in love with the Hyuga heiress and was unable to shake the feeling. "Do you have any last words?" the executioner asked, taking off the collar that was preventing me from speaking. I nodded and spoke to the crowd. I knew I had little time left to say what I truly wanted before the executioner angrily approached to silence me, believing I was undermining the village's authority. "It was my fault Sasuke died, and for that I truly am very sorry, but I had nothing to do with Tsunade's death." I inhaled deeply before yelling out the final words I wanted to say. My yell, "I love you Hinata, ACKKKK," was interrupted when the collar was reattached, leaving me speechless. My white-haired sensei jumped up to try to stop the fire jutsus from connecting, but it was too late. The last I saw was my love screaming and kicking as a whole team of Anbu struggled to keep her away as the multiple fire jutsus hurtled towards me. I could feel my flesh melting in the intense heat of the fire. I became extremely ill as the smell of burning skin and hair filled my nostrils. I saw a flash of red, and the pain abruptly vanished soon after. When I felt myself hitting the stony ground, the pain returned, easily twice as intense as it took the brunt of my pain. I felt the enormous wave of Kyuubi chakra subside. All I could hear as the pain subsided was a deep laugh. At that point, I discovered myself nude in an unfamiliar location and made the decision to begin my journey home as a vagrant. Oh my god, I've been wandering for maybe 5 or 6 years. Yes, my shiny little friends, I realize that I've completely lost it now because I've just found myself talking to my weapons. Oh, there I go once more. Who am I speaking to again? And perhaps I should introduce you. Hell, whatever. In any case, my new pals are this enormous Zanbatsu, this smooth and shiny katana, and this neat, black, extremely shiny projectile device. Kyuubi claims it's a chakra gun, but he stopped talking a few years ago and claimed I was more crazy than him. But what does he know? I'll tell you about my friends now. What have I already told you? One is a massive Zanbatsu. The other is a gleaming katana, so I suppose I'll tell you where I discovered them. I grabbed my Zanbatsu first. This thing is enormous. It weighs about 75 pounds and measures about 6 feet long by 5 inches wide by 2 inches thick. I nearly left it alone, but then I thought of that missed dude with the one eye, Pinky, and stuck-up dude, and I battled him on my way to Wave Country. If I could get the hang of it, I would be unbeatable. As the previous owner discovered, this item's greatest flaw is that it is dangerous. The man who wielded it boasted that he had stolen a legendary sword, was unbeatable in combat, and had killed anyone within striking distance of the only bridge that left the country. Regretfully, he was unaware of chakra and jutsus in that nation, so a strategically placed Rasengan terrified him to death, and he killed himself with his own sword. An easy acquisition. After experimenting with it for about a year, I eventually mastered it, which led me to where I discovered my katana. Apparently another legendary sword, this katana is a powerful weapon. About 3 years into my wanderings, I got this thing. I was astounded that the man, who was a sword expert, could effortlessly stop my Zanbatsu with it. Oddly enough, he consented to teach me how to wield a sword while we were traveling. He began training me with the katana after adjusting my posture and movements with the Zanbatsu. After a while of traveling with him, he decided that I had trained under him enough to be just below his level. He then passed on the blade, stating that he was prepared to stop fighting because he knew his sword was well protected. It's almost as if he believed the sword had a personality. This weapon moves quickly in my now educated hands. If my Zanbatsu isn't able to overwhelm my adversaries, this one takes care of them quickly and easily. The coolest thing I've discovered is my black, incredibly shiny projectile device, which I believe I acquired around 12 years ago. It was in the ruins of this enormous metal object that appeared to have flown and crashed at some point. I suppose that's what it is, because when I searched the ship, I discovered some interesting metal that was really heavy, so I kept it to use as training weights like that weird green guy back home. There were numerous weapons similar to mine when I entered the armory, but this was the only one constructed of a metal that could absorb chakra. According to Fuzzboy, it was made of that metal by accident and wasn't meant to be a chakra weapon. Whatever I say, the projectile requires a tremendous amount of chakra to produce, but because I have Fuzzy, I can fire it off roughly 50 times before my chakra runs out. Since chakra is being used more and more, I feel like I'm getting closer to the ninja nations. The drawback of that is that I now fight 2 battles a day on average. I've killed too many people to truly count in my wanderings, but I'm confident that I'll eventually reach my destination. Hopefully, I'll be able to maintain my humanity after I've obviously lost my sanity. Perhaps 8 years have passed, or perhaps 17, or even 3, I'm not sure, but I was able to enter the ninja countries a few weeks or months ago. A lifetime seems to have passed since that day. I've heard myself speaking to my weapons once more. It's reassuring but unsettling. On some days, I feel as though I have forgotten something significant, and on other days, I seem to lose sight of my humanity. Even though I obviously no longer have a sense of time and haven't spoken to anyone since the crazy sword guy, I still make an effort to keep clean shaven with a little blade I found. The fact that I increased the weight of my training weights in every town I entered, wait, how many weights did I weight on, is what is truly insane. Aside from my own craziness, get it under control, please. Okay, so I'm carrying a lot of weight right now, and oh my god, I can't recall what I said. Hey, I think I've been here before. Hold on, why am I telling you again? Who are you? Today was a busy day in Konoha, the village hidden in the leaves, as everyone was invited to the wedding of Hyuga Hinata, the recently announced clan leader, and Hyuga Hinori, a distant cousin in the branch family. The village felt safe knowing that another generation of the Hyuga clan, Konoha's strongest clan, would be virtually established today, despite the fact that they were still on edge because they hadn't found a suitable Hokage. The older Hyuga male asked a depressed heiress, Hinata-sama, "You are getting married this day. It should be a joyous occasion. Why can't you just smile once?" Neji ni-san, "It's just that, I don't love him. I've always imagined my marriage being the happiest day of my life, But this day has come and the one I dreamed to be waiting for me isn't the one who will be, she responded with sadness. Hinata-sama, most clan marriages are formed for the sake of the clan and not for love. We each are allowed to find love, and if we don't have it by a certain age, it is better to arrange a marriage and attempt to turn it into love than to fail trying. Ending the next generation as the new clan head, it is your duty to the clan to have a predecessor, he stated. But how can I, consummate the marriage when I feel nothing for him, replied Hinata. With a faint smirk, the straightforward response was, it is easy for either party, you just need to lay there undressed and he'll gladly take care of the rest. She yelled in disgust, Neji. She blushed in a way she hadn't seen in years when she said, well, you did ask, I just answered, it's not like you haven't had sex before. Well, I haven't, was her response. Huh? You're 22 years old. I thought for sure someone like Kiba-san would have gotten you by now. I really don't like talking about this topic, but he did try once. He offered to help take away my pain. He told me that by making love to him, it would lessen the loss I felt. He was probably correct, Hinata-sama, so why didn't you take him up on his offer? I know you really care for him, he has been your teammate for so long. If anyone could have taken away my pain, it would have been him, but I didn't want to lose my pain, it is the last bit I have of him. He isn't even listed in any records here, so I only had the pain of missing him. No memorial, nothing to show he was even here or existed. She lets out a sigh and continues. She slowly allowed her anger to subside before continuing on her previous topic. I owe it to him to keep the pain and never forget his sacrifices he made for the village. It disgusts me that they did that to him. I wanted to kill each and every one of them for what they did. I am glad I didn't do that with Kiba-kun though. He has since been known to cheat on his serious girlfriends. If anyone did that to me, they would surely die, stated the woman with pale eyes. Well, I guess you did choose correctly then, but what do you plan to do? Said he. She tried to smile but was unsuccessful. I guess I will just pray for a reason to call it off, she said. You will need one hell of an excuse to put off your wedding. When the door opened, the now forcefully smiling bride said, then I'll just have to pray harder then, won't I? Her sister grinned and said, Hinata, it's time your groom awaits. Hinata replied, Hanabi-chan, I'm coming. She prayed to God, please, if you know anyone, don't let me marry someone I don't love. A dark cloak was seen flowing past a figure's black, torn pants as he approached the gates of Konoha. Convenient him coming at this particular time, huh? The cloak's hood was drawn, concealing his face, and it opened slightly to reveal his well-trained bare chest. Hey Ryo, look at that guy's zanbatsu. It's enormous, a guard said. Yeah, no kidding Kento, this guy has to be dangerous if he can even sling that sword, replied the other person. According to the third ninja, maybe he's just trying to compensate for, down there. A guard named Kento demanded, you sir, halt, state your name and business. The man stumbled, Hin Hinata, with a lot of effort. That's a funny name for a guy. Now why are you here? Instructed Ryo. Need see Hinata, he said, still attempting to form coherent sentences with a shake of his head. The final guard responded, great, we got a moron here, let's take care of him quickly. We can't let him screw up Hinata-sama's wedding. The stranger is charged by each guard as they draw their kunai. The unidentified guest pulls out his zanbatsu by himself, slashes the Ryo with the flat side of the blade, sending him crashing into the wall and instantly knocking him unconscious. The warrior drew, fired, and holstered the chakra pistol with lightning speed and accuracy, knocking Kento unconscious as well, then, bringing the sword back around in a smooth arc. The warrior stopped at inches from the other guard, stopping his attack. The sword-bearer demanded in a menacing tone, I haven't spoken in years, so I won't ask again, where's Hinata? The conscious guard, trembling at the speed at which the enormous sword was swung and how he removed the other without even noticing the attack, replied, she's getting married right now. Why you won't get out alive though? The elite of the village are all there and the Hyuga are a powerful clan. Where? The stranger insisted, in the park, by the Hyuga manor in the far east. Thank you. The guard lay on the ground, helpless from fear, as he threw the huge sword onto his back and walked through the gates towards the Hyuga manor. Do you, Hyuga Hinori, take Hyuga Hinata to be your wife until death separates you? I will. And do you, Hyuga Hinata, take Hyuga Hinori to be your husband until death separates you? I guess so, he sighs in disappointment. Well. Then if there is any reason these two should not be married, speak now or forever hold your peace. Total silence. Then by the power invested in me, stop. The large crowd yells as they turn to face the intruder, who is giving him a menacing look. As all of the ninja in attendance stood ready, A Hyuga member demanded. You will not interfere with a Hyuga wedding, especially from an outsider. I will not leave until Hinata truthfully answers my one question. Do you love him? Aye. The Hyuga genius sank into his battle stance and exclaimed. You don't need to say anything, Hinata-sama, he leaves now. As the stranger draws his Zanbatsu and slashes down at his opponent, Neji leaps forward, only to discover that he is gone, leaving a cloud of dust in his wake much quicker than the guards. But hold on, am I familiar with him? As the Hyuga prodigy reappeared behind him with his kunai drawn, the intruder thought, only to discover a gleaming black sidearm embedded in the side of his face. You don't know what this can do, but let's say when I want to, it can blow a hole the size of a fist through you. Now please Hinata, answer me, do you love him? No, I don't, but this can't be helped. I must do this for the clan, confessed Hinata. Yes it can, come with me, I desperately need to speak with you. Hinori screamed in shock. Oh hell no, I am so close to marrying this beautiful woman, and you're not stopping it. He turned to the bride and said, I'm sorry, she doesn't love you, but you can't force her to. Love can't just be arranged, it can only be felt. The Dark Warrior said, will you accompany me, Hinata-chan? First I need to know who you are, before I decide. I would tell you, but I have long since forgotten my name in my travels to get here. The heiress asked, huh? How far did you travel to get here? The crowd lets out a gasp when the speaker reveals, I walked here non-stop for, maybe near 8 years, I think. But this is really my home, please come with me, I can only trust you, I remember only you, and I think, no I know you know my name. What makes me believe him? The dark-haired girl thought, he does seem to have a familiar aura, but it is slightly weird, before caving in to his request. Okay, I'll go with you. What? Half the audience exclaimed. Don't worry, for some reason I trust him, I'll go. I'll return after we talk and continue when we get back, she said. As the Dark Warrior watched in awe of her graceful movement, Hinata pulled off the ornate flowing parts of her dress and left the altar. Or whatever you want to call it, sensing his gaze on her, she halted and turned around, gesturing for him to follow as her face partially flushed for an unknown reason. Before he holstered his sidearm, causing Neji to fall forward from the sudden release of pressure, fastened his Zanbatsu to his back, and followed her to the closest empty training area, he thought, more beautiful than I could imagine, I hope she hasn't forgotten me after all these years. Hinata turned, leaned against one of the training area's 3 large stumps, and began to observe the area while speaking. As she concentrates on her visitor, she sighs, this is probably my favorite training area, but I rarely go here because of the memories it brings. A painful memory, but yet a good one as well. So why do you think I know your name then? Why can't you remember? She gets very red. Hinata-chan, you are more beautiful than I remember, she says. Oh sorry, my mind is really messed up right now, I've just now gotten used to speaking again. He shakes his head, saying, well, at least some things don't change, I'm glad. Well I used to remember everything and everyone here but being without anyone to talk to, but the occasional person in the past 8 or so years, I have managed to lose almost all knowledge, except for you, so do you think you can help me Hinata? I don't know, why do you trust only me? You had eyes of caring while others had eyes of hate or disgust the last time I saw them. You never hated me, nor do I think you ever could help me to repair my mind and my heart, please. I suppose I can try. Why your heart though, she said. My heart aches for what this village did to me, but it aches for you as well. My mind has locked out most of my memories of this place, but I need them back so I can fix the problems. This village is corrupted. Before caving into his request, she acknowledged that the village does have problems, adding, I will need to see your face for me to recognize you. Thank you Hinata. The warrior took off his cloak and 2 swords, dropping them to the ground to reveal what the cloak concealed. Hinata examined him, beginning at his feet and working her way up. His blonde, spiky hair, which nearly reached the back of his knee, caught her attention the most. If he hadn't had a haircut in 8 years, I believe he would have looked a lot like SS3 Goku from DBZ. But with eyebrows she blushed a little as she saw his tight pants and blushed even more when she saw his well-defined upper body. When Hinata saw the stranger's blue eyes and the marks on the sides of his face, he gasped and went white as he lifted his face to meet hers and opened his eyes. She stammered, how? This can't be. The blonde gazed at her, tears welling up in his eyes. I can see it in your eyes, you know me now, please let me know my name, tell me who I am. Her eyes returned to normal before streaming with tears as she ran to him, putting her arms around his neck and crying into his chest. It really is you, isn't it? She asked, speaking softly. He wrapped his arms around her waist and held her close. She sobs a little less and whispers softly in his ear, please what's my name, I need to know. With a sigh, Naruto said, "You are my only love and the almost boyfriend I thought I lost. You are none other than Uzumaki Naruto." Hearing that one name brought back a number of long-forgotten memories in perfect order. He had visions of a ninja in bright orange claiming to be the next Hokage. Even though some memories still seemed inaccessible, he was still able to recall every interaction he had with the woman in front of him, which made him cry with joy after touching her chin and raising her head to meet his eyes. He leaned in and kissed her for a few seconds before grinning contentedly and letting go. Hinata grinned broadly as she threw him to the ground and kissed him. "Thank you, and I've been waiting almost 10 years to do that again. I now remember everything about you, but I just see images of other things, and people, so my mind doesn't quite function properly. I might have hit my head or something." When he felt something moist pressing against his lips, the startled blonde became even more shocked as she began to play with his tongue. He opened his mouth to let her in, which encouraged him to notice and return the favor. After a while, the two parted ways, and Naruto exclaimed, "Wow!" while continuing to gaze at her adoring face. The panting heiress told Naruto-kun, "I've been waiting longer than that to do that," she quickly inquired. "Now how did you survive the execution? I thought I saw you die." In the hopes that she wasn't dreaming and would end up married. "Well, I think it has something to do with my tenant. You know about him now, right? I'm sure those asses told everyone since there wasn't a Hokage to enforce the law." "Well, sort of. We never got a real answer from them since they were all afraid of Jiraiya-sama killing them all. But a group of us figured you had something sealed inside you, but we didn't really figure out how powerful it was or when it was sealed in you. Well, you guys figured it out quite well. From what I know, I have the most powerful demon in existence, and it was sealed in me on the date of my birth. What demon was supposedly destroyed on that day?" Knowingly, everything made sense to her. "Kyuubi," she said. "Yes, that is the source of the hatred they have for me, but how will they accept my return?" "I really don't know. Most of the idiots in charge of your execution were taken care of by Jiraiya, Kakashi and myself, so there isn't a problem in the council anymore." Sakura took Sasuke's death hard, but when she realized what she said to you, she went into a depression for about a month before returning to life. She didn't even realize at the time what the village was doing to you until it was too late, therefore she might be most receptive of seeing you. "I know all your senseis will definitely have acceptance for you. Shino, Shikamaru, Choji, and Lee will likely not care. They're too lazy or kind to hold anything against you. Neji is, well, Neji, but the problem will be winning over Tenten and Ino, since they accept everything the council told them, and Kiba will be the hardest since he wanted me, but I chose you over him even when it was just your memory in a way. I think he wanted me just to say he did like a trophy or something, especially with the way he acts in his relationships. I don't think he even wants a family, where I know you do, so he will lose out to you every time, hands down." Naruto, still crying, said, "Hinata-chan, you were always too good for me. How could I have possibly overlooked your affection for so long? I was truly an idiot." "Naruto-kun, I was never too good for you. If anything, I felt you were too good for me." "That is silly of you. You are strong, beautiful, and the clan heiress. You could have been with nearly anyone you wanted. Why me?" "Actually, father died 2 years ago and I am the clan head now, but I can answer your question easily. You were the only one I ever wanted from the moment I saw in you what was most lacking in me," she said as she embraced him more tightly. She cried both happy and sad tears when she was asked, "I don't want to ask this, Hinata-chan, but how long were you depressed and stuff when I was gone?" For the first time after all those years, she genuinely smiled and said, "I'd say 8 years or so. He's been gone 8 years. Duh, I think I might get over it very quickly now." Without noticing her happiness, he responded, "I'm so sorry I caused you so much pain. Please, Naruto-kun, don't beat yourself up over it. You're here now and that is all I want to think about." She begged him to stop. "Alright then, so what do you think we should do now, Hinata-chan? I can't really go on like I never left this place. It would just feel weird to show up around everyone again." "Well, I'm going to cancel that stupid wedding first. I won't be married to anyone when I have you now, and I think I need to hide you for a while until we get some ideas on how to present your return. There is a small house behind the Hyuga Manor that you can live in for now. Go there and wait for me. I'll need some time to clean up the mess that will ensue from canceling the wedding, and take a shower. You smell like you've been walking for 8 years. She joked with him at the end. She shook her head, and he playfully shot back, "Oh, so that is how it is, huh? I could have stopped and cleaned up before I got here, but then you would be in a loveless marriage." Hinata grinned and walked away, swaying her hips sensuously, occasionally looking back to see her Naruto staring at her retreating form with a sincere smile, making her blush at her forward actions and attention. "I'm glad you're back, Naruto-kun. It hasn't been the same here without your lightheartedness." "Beautiful Hinata, you're just so beautiful. But when did you learn seduction techniques? I fell for your kindness and caring, but I got that and more. When she disappeared, Naruto, the nomad, gathered up his belongings before the entire wedding party goes out on the town in search of the strange man who ruined the wedding. He decided it might be best to locate the house and take cover. He replaced his cloak and strapped his swords back on his back. Hinata was so happy that she practically floated back to the wedding location. Unfortunately, she was afraid of the mess she would make, but since she was now the head of the clan, she was the only one who could decide whether or not to get married. When she was promptly greeted, she composed herself and made the decision to be noticed. Oh, thank God, Hinata. A few more minutes and Neji would have sent out a couple teams of Anbu to bring you back. When an unusually apprehensive Neji came closer, Hinata concluded, I was just fine, Tenten. Besides, if that guy managed to show up, Neji, easily, then I'm not sure we would want to risk our Anbu on him, but he won't be a threat to us. Neji exclaimed, Hinata-sama, you're here, we can continue the wedding now. He stared in shock as he saw the joy on her face. Hinata-sama, you're smiling and happy. Yes, Neji-ni-san. I am so very happy. I have a lot to think of now from what he told me. So, the wedding is cancelled. What? What did that guy say to you to cause you to cancel it? What about the clan? Hinata firmly declared, Neji, some things are more important than the clan, leaving no opportunity for further discussion. So did you find out who he was? I mean, something was really off about him. She told a falsehood. No, not really. He did seem very nice, and I might be able to persuade him to join our ranks if I ever see him again. He could even be a candidate for Hokage someday soon. Very well, Hinata-sama, should I announce the cancellation? No, Neji-ni-san, I'll do it. Hinata turned to face the crowd as she left the small group and went to the front where Hinori was waiting for her. The crowd was in a frenzy over this, but they quickly subsided when they realized they were upsetting the heiress. I want to thank you all for coming, but unfortunately it was all for nothing. I have decided to cancel the marriage indefinitely. How do you think she became clan head instead of Hanabi? No one has offended her in the last 8 years without feeling the full force of her wrath, not even her father, who once felt her intensity after saying something negative about her Naruto-kun. I know it is a little inconvenient, but that is my choice, Hinori-san. You are not obligated anymore, therefore I ask that you return, as you will all be in the Hyuga cabin for the remainder of the day in deep meditation over the events of the day. Hinori was furious that he wouldn't be a distinguished member of the prominent family, but he was afraid to speak because of the "I dare you" expression she was giving him. He concluded that if he wanted to live, he should follow her advice before he left the area. He thought, I will make you pay one way or another, you wench. As the wedding began to wind down, Hinata vanished into the cabin without anyone noticing. Despite being larger than Naruto's previous apartment, the tiny cabin was undoubtedly too small to live in for an extended period of time. As you entered, there was a small sitting area that led to a large bedroom with an adjacent, larger than normal bathroom and a small kitchen on one side. A tiny fireplace at the front of the sitting room gave the space a homey, somewhat rustic feel. After taking a shower, Naruto found some clean pants in one of the closets, but he was still without a shirt because he couldn't find anything else that would fit him comfortably. He surveyed the building for a while before Hinata arrived. In an attempt to avoid tripping over anything too embarrassing, she called out, are you here, Naruto-kun? The blonde, still shirtless, entered the sitting room and said, I'll be right there, Hinata-chan. As Hinata blushed deeply and stared in wonder playfully, he said, you're staring, Hinata-chan, you like what you see? She gasps and covers her mouth, indicating that she didn't mean to say those things aloud. Yes, I do. Very much so, she says. Naruto begins to chuckle as he notices her flushed face, having the mixed urge to look at him and turn away. It's okay. Hinata-chan, I think your body is amazing too. Hinata-chan, I don't mind you looking, but I really think you should change out of that wedding dress. Hinata laughed as the long-haired blonde blushed and collapsed back onto the couch. Oh, I completely forgot about that. I'll go shower and change quick. You want to watch? Hinata said. Note: Hinata has largely abandoned her previous behaviors since taking over as clan leader, so this is now typical for her as she isn't keeping anything from him. He smiled and then chose to ask a question, and no, I'm going to have to pass. I don't think my mind can handle seeing more of you without exploding, but I'll take you up on that offer at a later date. When did you get so bold, Hinata-chan? You were so shy? I would guess it was about the same time you got speechless. She blushed, and they both began to giggle before burst out laughing. It's puzzling how people can change so much while remaining the same, but her blushing still supports some of that claim. After their spell of laughter was over, Naruto lay on the couch and Hinata went to take a shower and change. Hinata discovered after taking a shower that she had forgotten to pack any underwear for the cabin, but it was too late to change her mind. She decided to wear a tight t-shirt she found in public, revealing that she was not wearing a bra, in an attempt to make up for the time she had lost with her beloved. It's now or never, time to knock his socks off. Hinata thought she should be moving more slowly because they had just met again 10 years ago. The meeting where he was executed doesn't count, but she can ignore that feeling because she knows how much time and excitement she lost without him over the years. She walked slowly back into the sitting room, allowing Naruto to observe her in her entirety. Once again, Naruto was stunned and unable to speak. It never occurred to him that the person he had been longing for would end up looking like that. Her damp midnight blue hair, which danced across her shoulders and some of which rested on her larger-than-average bosom, which was covered in incredibly thin light blue fabric, left little room for imagination. Her pale eyes glistened in the light, creating a wonderful contrast. His gaze was drawn to her firm, well-defined posterior as her hair continued to cascade halfway down her back. Her half-length pants, which were just as tight as her shirt, made it obvious that she was either not wearing any underwear at all or was only wearing something that was barely identifiable as such. She sat down and gazed joyfully at the blonde's astonished face, blushing and smiling. She giggled a little at his response and couldn't help but ask him, "You like what you say, Naruto-kun?" I'll take that as a yes." As he snapped out of his reverie, he said, "Hey Hinata-chan, don't do that to me. Remember, I'm in that case you could seriously harm my mental health looking like that." Seeing his heavy eyes, she became concerned for his well-being. "I don't know, Naruto-kun. You seem to take it quite well in my opinion. You look tired. Do you want to rest?" "I suppose so," he responded while yawning. "I did travel for 8 years, not even stopping to sleep on purpose. Sometimes I just pass out." "Why did you do that to yourself, Naruto-kun? You should take better care of yourself. If it wasn't for you being here, I probably wouldn't have come back at all. I did it just to see you again, even if you forgot about me, but I'd take that chance." Lightly amused, she said, "You really are an idiot, huh?" "What?" he exclaimed. "I couldn't have ever forgotten you. I love you too much," she replied. "I love you, Hinata-chan. I know I haven't had the opportunity to speak to you face to face since you kissed me, but I felt my affection grow those 2 years and your image kept me from losing my mind completely." He grabbed her and slid her closer to him on the couch. "Thank you, it means a lot to hear that from someone. That would make you the first to put it into words that you care." He stared at her for a while before he felt sleep grab at him, hard, and nearly continued talking while he slept watery-eyed. Hinata gazed at his sleeping form and whispered, "Thank you, Naruto-kun. I wanted to hear those words for so long, and I didn't want to hear it like I had to before." Then, realizing how tired she was, she snuggled into his side, rested her head on his bare chest, and sighed contentedly as she fell asleep. At Hinata's postponed wedding, some guests chose to remain and talk rather than completely disperse. In any case, how often do they all meet up in between missions? With the exception of a few of the more slothful and Hyuga members, the majority were still present. An hour later, a certain irate individual was starting to annoy the other guests. To anyone who would listen, a pink-haired kunoichi complained, "Did you see where Hinata went? Hey Sakura, you know she said she was going to the cabin to think almost an hour ago. Don't go and get your forehead in a tizzy," replied Ino casually. She immediately yelled back, "Ino pig, I told you to stop making fun of my forehead." "Damn, no wonder you can't keep a boyfriend with that temper. Why are you looking for Hinata anyways?" "That's none of your business, and I plan to give her a piece of my mind for letting a decent, clean guy get away. He was better husband material than your lazy-ass husband." The blonde shot back, "Hey, Shika-kun does just fine when he needs to." "Yeah, whatever, I am leaving." Sakura rushes out of the wedding venue to find the pale-eyed, dark-haired kunoichi. She eventually found herself at the edge of the Hyuga estate, in front of the small, comfortable cabin. After making a number of wrong turns and a few trips to the ground, she runs up to the door and knocks lightly, but when she doesn't hear back, she slowly opens it and peers inside, only to be shocked to see a strange blonde man holding the Hyuga clan head and his left hand resting gently on her left breast while they are both sound asleep. "What the devil?" "Well, yelling later. Picture first." Sakura takes out a camera and takes a quick picture. The young woman slowly wakes up from her sleep and begins to feel around for something as she sees a flash of light and curses herself for not turning it off. Hinata was still half asleep when she thought, "Damn, what was that light flash? I was sleeping here. Why am I feeling so comfortable here?" She pondered, "I'm sleeping next to my Naruto-kun. I couldn't be happier. Wait, why is my breast warmer than the rest of me?" Before recalling the events of the day, she feels a strong hand resting, nearly holding her there as she slowly reaches for the source with her left hand, sleeping with her right side toward Naruto. She sighed, blushing, and leaving his hand where it was before cuddling up to sleep. If you were anyone else, I'd kill you for that, but I'll definitely let you live. I'd give you even more if you just asked for it. She chooses to open her eyes to check if anyone is there after hearing a startled gasp coming from the cabin's door. Oh my god, that was so close. Sakura watches her and exclaims, what the hell, Hinata? Who is this man? Dare I say it, you little hussy. You knowingly let him off the hook for holding your breast and enjoyed it. She screamed in her head until she saw the eyes, which were light lavender in color, open and gaze at her. Busted. Sakura yelled angrily, Hinata, who is that? Oh, and you called off AMARRAGE just to play house with your hunky boy toy there. The silent reply was, Shish, Sakura, let him sleep, he's tired. Like hell. You do all this talk about finding true love and I find you sleeping around with some guy I've never seen. You HIPOCRITE. Quiet, Sakura, you'll wake him, not like it is any of your business who I'm with, but yes, I do love him, now leave, I was enjoying my nap. Before she could finish her tirade, a deep voice said, you never answered my question, WHO is that guy? The essentially sleep-talking man asked, hey, Hinata-chan, who is making all that noise, it's hard to sleep. Hinata crooned, forget about her, she's just leaving, go back to sleep now, in an attempt to help him forget his weariness. This time, her cries were not ignored as he opened his blue eyes and stared at the intruder. What the hell, you bastard? Get your hands off her tits and tell me how you brainwashed her into loving you. He said to Sakura, hey Pinky, oh, sorry Hinata-chan. Then he apologized, and took his hand off Hinata's chest, only to have the girl on top of him grab it. She took his hand and returned it to its original position, making him blush and smile while one person became enraged. If I cared that your hand was there, I would have removed it myself, she said when Sakura saw the all-too-familiar black sheen of the chakra pistol aimed at her face. She cracked her knuckles and ran towards the blonde. Cocking back for a massive hit, she stopped her attack when the normally quiet heiress surprisingly yelled at her. Damn it, Sakura. Why the hell are you here? If all you are going to do is try and harm him, then get the hell out before I throw you out. Sorry Hinata, I was just checking on you, but still, how can you suddenly fall in love with that weird stranger? Asked Sakura. Hinata responded with a hint of frustration and rage, for being smart. You sure are dumb. Sometimes I never fall in love with someone so quickly, just actually look at him and you'll see why. Sakura blushes a little as she examines him once more and appreciates his muscular physique. I don't get it, Hinata, sure he is a gorgeous man, but I don't see anything special. You are way too shallow, Sakura, his face, look at his face. Sakura stared in shock at what she saw. Okay, strong shoulders, no higher, good-looking face, deep blue eyes, streaks like whiskers on his cheeks. Wait, blue eyes, blonde hair, streaks on face. No, that's impossible, it can't be him, she said. You see it now, don't you? You aren't imagining it, he is alive and that is how I can love him. But he's so quiet, he hasn't even said enough for it to be him. I don't talk much because I've traveled alone for the past 8 years, so I tend to not know how to join conversations anymore, he cut in. This isn't right though, how did you find out about Hinata's feelings? You were so dense, I mean, if that really is you. Sakura, was it? I don't really remember much about you, but I do remember Hinata quite well. She was the only thing I could remember for quite a while now, probably because I couldn't get her out of my head since she kissed me before I left for training. Sakura said incredulously, what? She couldn't have kissed you, she was so shy. Well, I did kiss him on the cheek, but he was the one that kissed me on the lips before he left. Pinky pondered, huh? Who would have thought? She completely forgot about that and smiled embarrassingly. Well, you made my feelings worse by writing, love Hinata, on your letters and then scribbling out the love talk about teasing me. She pats his hand on its soft resting place and says, sorry, I guess I'm making up for that now. This causes them both to feel extremely embarrassed. Before having an idea, Sakura thought, damn, it really is him, only they could know those details, but they really do seem to know each other so well. Ew, why do you guys have to do that in front of me? Rapidly shifting voices. Anyways, I have a great idea. I studied some mind-healing jutsus before. It should be able to restore your memory pathways, but I've never tried it before. I suppose we could try, not like it really could get worse, I'm just afraid that I'll remember something I don't want to. What do you think, Hinata-chan? I think it would be best if you got your memories back. I love the fact that you've remembered me so well, but I can only think how hard it would be on me if you didn't remember me. So it must be equally painful when you eventually meet everyone again. Just remember one thing, Naruto-kun. Sakura didn't mean to say those things to you. You may not entirely remember everything now, but just keep that in mind when you do. Sakura said, visibly embarrassed. Yeah, she's right. I hope you can forgive me for what I said, Naruto. Hinata blushed uncontrollably as he grinned devilishly and said, "Aw man, and I was so comfortable here." Sakura applied a few seals and her fingers to his forehead, causing him to scream in agony for a few seconds before he passed out. Right. I'll get started now." They chatted for a while to kill time until Hinata woke up from the jutsu after he was told that it was normal. So, that weird powerful guy, then I really can't imagine traveling alone for so long. How do you suppose he was able to survive the execution then? You will have to ask him when he wakes up. There are some things I don't know, but there are some things I do. But he needs to tell you, explained Hinata. I suppose you're right, Hinata. I really am happy for you too, but I still haven't figured out how you two can pick up again so quickly. I mean, look, you guys are acting like you've been dating for years now, being all touchy-feely. I know what you mean, Sakura. I've wondered that myself. But everything just feels so right. I feel so warm and happy when he touches me that I just can't resist it any longer. I've longed to touch him for so long, but it just hurt when I knew I never could because he was supposed to be dead right now. If he wanted me to, I'd let him take me completely. Hinata, you're horrible, she sarcastically responds. Sure I am. You should talk. I know you've been around Konoha a few times. She notices her face freeze into an ugly frown and says, sorry Sakura. No, it's okay. I just keep forgetting I wanted to love again. So I just tried to hurry into relationships, but I found out the hard way that not everyone wants a committed relationship. The idea of finding someone to love that held no other feelings for anyone before is an impossibility, except for maybe you and Naruto. I used to think everyone would marry the person they lost their virginity to, but I guess a fewer number of them exist than we know. Most of the guys are in it just for the chase and capture, and move on, just like Kiba does. Very few want to marry or would dare to put so much effort into it. Looking back, I wish I would have taken Naruto up on his offers because I know he will never betray the one he loves and I would gladly be with someone that cares. I guess I see now. He, Naruto, liked me but I paid no attention to him. Therefore he would rather be with someone who cares than one who doesn't. I guess I was the reason he was able to look away and find what he really wanted in you. Hinata? Sakura looked back at the couch, after her speech, only to find two pairs of teared-up eyes looking back at her. Sakura-chan, he replied, you might be right that your actions drove me to find Hinata's feelings, but looking back myself, I really wouldn't want it any other way. I love her more than life itself. Once I was able to see beyond the shy girl she was into the caring and kind person she tried to hide. I just can't believe she could love me even after knowing of the bastard I hold. Unappreciative brat. Never save your sorry ass again, please. Holy shit. Kyubi. What on earth have you been up to? I truly didn't hear your apologies. Well, I wouldn't have had to flee your messed up head if you weren't so weak. It was driving me crazy, and you were crazy. Yes, indeed. He simply hears a complaint. Hey, that's right. I've got it all back now, so just shut up. Perhaps, if you hadn't taken me to a place that only God knows, I wouldn't have been driven insane. When he looked at them with the biggest smile they had seen since he left, the two kunoichis stared at the blonde shinobi, wondering what had caused his abrupt stop and glassed-over expression. What's wrong with you guys? You look like I just died and walked back into town 8 years after my death, he quipped. Sakura throws her strongest punch at him, sending him crashing into the fireplace, saying, Naruto. That's exactly what you did, you idiot. Hinata simply gasped in terror until they saw him move, saying, oh shit, I used too much chakra. He could be seriously injured, or worse. Wiping soot from his arms, he said, Sakura-chan, that really hurt. You know, now I'm going to need a shower again. Do you know how hard it is to wash this much hair? He asked, smiling, and walked back to the couch after being tackled by the dark-haired person who had been sitting there. She was giving him kisses while crying, but he was able to push her back a little. Hinata-chan, what's wrong? You're crying, but also happy. Oh Naruto-kun, you seemed so different when you came back, almost too serious, but I still loved you. But now my Naruto-kun has returned. The one who smiles though his problems. I love you so much, Naruto-kun, she stated as she gazed longingly at him. Naruto remarked playfully, hey, thanks, it's great to be back, completely back. I never knew I lost some of my personality with my memories, but I feel a lot better now. Oh Hinata-chan, guess what, I love you too. He was taken aback by her intense, desirous, pupilless eyes, which he described as, just beautiful, before Hinata gave him the most intense and thrilling kiss of his life. Not that he had many to go by when someone coughed, they were awakened from their reverie. He looks in the direction of the pink-haired kunoichi, but something partially blocks his view. Oops, I forgot you were there, Sakura-chan, he says when Sakura interrupted. Hinata turned dark red and almost lost her dignity in shame. Hinata-chan. Do you mind getting your beautiful rack out of my face for a bit? Not that I don't like them, but they are very distracting to have a conversation over. Yeah, Hinata, get your huge knockers to behave themselves while we're talking. Hinata just stared in shock at the jokes, thinking, he truly is the life of the village. No one has been this happy and carefree since he has been gone. Then, she screamed as she was picked up so effortlessly and put on her lover's lap. When he sat back on the couch, he became much more serious as he ran his hand through her hair without thinking. Sakura's eyes welled up with tears as he said, all funniness aside, Sakura, you said things that hurt me deeply before my so-called execution, but I do know that you were just angry at losing Sasuke, so don't worry, I forgive you. Naruto, I would hug you right now if you weren't playing around with your life-sized Hinata doll, she quipped as she continued, but what are we going to do with you? You were a wanted criminal of Konoha. Thanks for ruining my happy homecoming, Sakura-chan. I suppose I can just go and present my case to the Hokage and hope for some compassion, he said. Naruto-kun, we don't have a Hokage. What, are you kidding, Hinata-chan? How could that happen? No, she isn't kidding. There were attempts in the first 4 years to replace the Hokage, but Jiraiya convinced the council to only accept a Hokage that could wear a cursed necklace for 6 months without dying. He said that previous Hokages have worn them without injury, and a person who could only be worthy as a Hokage can overcome it. Hinata's father was the last person to try since his death. No one has tried again, explained the bright-eyed girl with pink hair. Naruto said, I'm sorry, Hinata-chan, expressing his sorrow over her passing. With a sulky tone, she answered, thank you, but he wasn't really much of a father to me, so it wasn't that hard to get over it. Naruto asked with genuine interest, so then, who accepts the missions for the village, and what does this cursed necklace look like? You seem a little bit more intelligent, Naruto. You couldn't come up with thought-out questions before? Yeah, you moron. Perhaps it was the incident where you were struck too hard on the head as a child, causing some memory areas of your brain to be severed, which Pinky fixed. What, you stupid fox? Then why didn't you heal me? His voice fades back into the back of his mind. Where's the fun in that, ha 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 ha? The women watched in disgust at someone intentionally harming someone, saying, well, enough of that, who acts for the village, and about that necklace. Damn. I guess I was always more intelligent than I knew. You healed something that was damaged in my head that the bastard didn't heal just for fun. Oh right. Well, Kakashi-sensei, Shizune-sensei, Anko-san, Ibiki-san, and Iruka-sensei have been taking on the tasks of the Hokage, with Jiraiya-sama stopping in to help every so often. Sakura explained to him and then continued. After Sakura explained everything, Hinata suddenly looked at her love with a worried expression. It is said that the necklace is a rare crystal, one of only 2 in existence, which could buy whole villages with its value. It is also said that it was first worn by the first Hokage and was given to his granddaughter, the 5th Hokage, Tsunade. The rumor is that she gave it to her boyfriend and little brother, each of whom died shortly after. The funny thing is that I never saw Tsunade's sensei wearing the necklace. Naruto maintained his sly smile and said, Naruto-kun, why are you looking like that? That is how you look after you planned a complex prank. The 2 girls gasped at his announcement, but they realized he was probably correct because Tsunade's gambling issues were well known. You know me too well, Hinata-chan. I'm going to become the next Hokage and get my necklace that Ba-chan lost to me in a bet. As the preparations for a new Hokage got underway, their astonishment faded and a smile appeared on each of their faces. Okay, to sum it up then, as far as the village is concerned, I never existed, so they can't prove I was ever here aside from some members of the council where the biggest problems have already retired, or killed, where they have no authority, which is good. Now all I need is a prominent member of a powerful clan, which I have, glances over to Hinata. And the recognition of 5 or more Jonin-level ninjas after showing my strength, which if everything goes the way it sounds that shouldn't be a problem, but where there may be an issue, is with the fact that to do that, they can set up a test of skill, usually by a terrible battle or tournament, to see if you are really the best, which will probably involve battling Ero Sennin, which will suck so is that it then. Yes. Both replied. The match will most likely be a gauntlet-style match, but afterwards, you will then have to go through intense mental training for the job, Sakura replied. Great, more testing and lectures, my one true weakness. Hinata said, you can do it, Naruto-kun. I believe you can, and I'll help. Naruto gives Hinata a quick kiss and says, you really are way too good for me, Hinata-chan. With you helping me, I'm sure I'll be Hokage before too long. Sakura hurried home after saying, okay, you too, I've had enough of you guys and it's really late, so I'm leaving. Later guys. She needed to sleep because she had to run the hospital in the morning. Well, Hinata-chan, I suppose it's late, and I believe I need more sleep than anyone, so I'll be going to bed. Damn, I never told Sakura about Kyuubi, so she must be wondering who the bastard is, he thought. Hinata turned to go but was stopped before she could leave the cabin, saying, "Okay, sleep well, Naruto-kun." Hinata-chan, I was wondering if maybe you would stay with me? I've been alone for so long? Why you want to like sleep with me? She blushed and laughed at what he was implying, but then she had the idea to reverse the situation. Your stuttering is kind of cute, but yes, I want to sleep with you, but fully dressed I'm not ready for that yet. She said with a playful smile, that wasn't what I was thinking, but you know when you're ready, I am. He took her hand and ushered her into the bedroom, saying, all right, you tease, let's get some sleep and just to be safe, no kissing in bed, I don't want to get carried away. Yet, he was completely gone by the time he hit the sheets, and Hinata quickly joined him as they cuddled close for the night without either of them having the strength to say goodnight. In Konoha, it was just another day, but for one young woman, something made it seem a little better. Perhaps it was the clear blue skies, or perhaps it was the joyful chirping of the birds. It might have even been the fact that she ended her unhappy marriage, but it was probably because she was sleeping with a blonde she believed to be deceased but had not forgotten. Yes, that is what caused her extraordinary joy today. She is ecstatic that Konoha's most unexpected ninja has returned to her. Naruto, the itinerant warrior, woke up to the sight of his bed partner's pearly eyes due to the intense light and a sudden pressure on his chest. With a greeting of, "Good morning, beautiful, so why are you lying there on top of me like that?" "Good morning, my love, would you believe that it looked comfortable up here?" Hinata leaned in and kissed him, saying, "I've said it once, you are weird. But you don't need to change, you are perfect the way you are." Hinata hurriedly removed herself from him, saying, "I didn't need to change after I got you. Damn, it's already noon." They are both up and at the front door by this point. "I apologize, Naruto-kun, I have clan business to attend to. Canceling the wedding made me too much paperwork to do. I'll be back early tonight. There's food in the kitchen. I'm sorry, got to go by." Unaware that someone is watching from the bushes, she gives him another quick kiss and dashes out of the cabin toward the manor. "Now I understand. The reason you didn't marry me was because of him." Before he vanished in a cloud of smoke, the spy thought, "Well, I think I know the perfect way to break you two apart, betrayal." Grinning, Naruto chose to sleep again while Hinata attended to clan business. The clan head decided to tackle the massive amount of paperwork that was piled up in the office that was connected to her bedroom after taking a shower and getting dressed nicely. Before she resigned herself to the papers in front of her, she pondered, "I wonder how Naruto-kun will take to this paperwork stuff." Sitting at her desk, Hinata reviewed the clan's financial records and contracts to ensure that the marriage sham had been resolved. After about 3 hours, she finished her paperwork when Hinori arrived with tea. "Hinata-sama, I came with some tea. I want to thank you for the chance to almost marry you." Hinata takes a sip of the tea Hinori poured for her and says, "Thank you, Hinori-san, and I apologize for any inconvenience I have caused you. The tea is very good, thank you." He thought, "Drink up, you'll enjoy the repercussions." "It was no problem, Hinata-sama." He bowed slightly and let her finish her work. Feeling a little lightheaded, Hinata drank more tea in the hopes that it would help her feel less lightheaded. Then, without recalling his entrance, Hinata noticed Kiba in her office. With dizziness, she managed to ask, "Kiba-kun, what brings you here? I didn't hear you come in." "I was told you wanted to see me to relieve some office tension, if you know what I mean," he replied with arrogance. She began to say, "No, Kiba-kun, I don't know what you mean if you could," but was interrupted when Kiba locked the door, took off his shirt, and began unbuttoning his pants. She could only say, "Oh," as he lifted her and carried her to her bed. After gently setting her on the bed, he took off her shirt to reveal her enormous breasts. "You want it, don't you? I knew you couldn't resist me." Warning. It is very brief. If you don't want to expose your naive little brains to sexual content, you can skip to the notes at the end or the next paragraph, and I'll summarize. Say no, do something. Slap him. She betrayed her desires by saying, "Yes, give it to me, hard." "No, I don't want this." As he took off her lavender lace panties and dark pants, Kiba smiled at her. He dropped his pants and sat down beside her, staring at her creamy, pale skin. "Stop, no," he said, "this is not what I want. Naruto-kun is the only person I want to do this with." "Please stop," she said, startled once more by what she was saying. "Please, just skip the foreplay, put it in me now. I want to feel you inside me." Kiba gladly complied with those words, placing himself between her and pressing himself deep inside her in a single motion, causing her to groan sharply. "God no. Why?" Why am I unable to control myself and stop him? Stop it. Damn it, I don't like it. Her thoughts were ignored as Kiba continued to thrust in and out, eliciting numerous pleasurable sounds from the dark-haired beauty's unwilling lips. He entered her deeply with a single, loud scream, and while he was there, he felt a sense of release. He withdrew and fell next to her, gasping for air. This should be a safe place to read. Kiba gave her some information by sniffing the air. Kiba left, but she never saw him leave because the emotionless Hyuga entered the bathroom, turned on the shower, and stepped in. Hey Hinata, you might want to pack up some things and move in with me. I smelled. Without a doubt, we just conceived you'll want to live with the father of your child, right? Of course you do now. Go shower. I like clean women in my home. Okay. So it was necessary to explain these final sentences so that I wouldn't receive a message saying, I don't know how things work. Kiba is hinting that he can sense that the circumstances are conducive to conception, like a dog in heat. Get it, other details won't be entirely correct, but you will learn why the mistakes were made later. Why? 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 She kept asking herself. Now that I have everything I truly wanted, why did this have to happen? I will be hated by Naruto-kun for this. When her dizziness spell ended and she could finally hear her own voice yelling in sorrow, Hinata sobbed in the cold shower water. He walked for 8 years just to see me again, and I betray his love the day after he arrives. He could never forgive me for this. Hinata had been crying for the past 4 hours or so, and it was now 8 p.m. Is there anything I should do? I just can't pretend it didn't happen, especially if I am pregnant. She sobbed to herself. She sobbed for a while longer before the tears stopped coming. I have to tell him. I owe him that. Maybe he can forgive me and we can still be together. Gathering her courage, she wiped the tears from her face and headed for the cabin for the worst conversation of her life. Naruto-kun is going to kill someone over this. Why did it have to happen? I never wanted it. Naruto joyfully emerged to welcome her as soon as he heard her enter the cabin. He said, Hey Hinata-chan, I've missed you. When he didn't hear back, he looked into her eyes and saw that she was clearly crying. He inquired tenderly, Hinata-chan, what's wrong? You've been crying, I can tell. It's bad, Naruto-kun. Real be bad. Why you should sit. What could be that bad? No one died, did they? She sobbed as she told him, No Naruto-kun, no one died, but I'm no longer a virgin. I don't think you can be so hard on yourself being 22, you had to run into this at some point. Besides, everyone thought I was dead. How old were you when it happened? Talking about it might help, he responded, clearly unable to comprehend. Now, sobbing even more, she went on, Why you don't get a tea this morning? Still was. Naruto was shocked to learn that his beloved had lost her virginity the day after his return. As he considered all the ramifications, his rage increased. So your love for me is all a lie? You used me as an excuse just to cancel your wedding, didn't you? What else aren't you telling me? Who was it with? Answer me, damn it. It was Kiba-kun. He also told me that he smelled that he got me pregnant, but I still love you, Naruto-kun. You're pregnant too. This is just unbelievable. How could you do this to me? She is now a sobbing heap at the blonde's feet, saying, I don't know how it happened, it just did. I just can't take this, I'm leaving, and you just stay the hell away from me. He purposefully avoided drawing Kyuubi chakra. He may have done so by accident because he was so angry, but still snatched up his cloak and swords and stormed out of the cabin, slamming the door and leaving the pale-eyed girl sobbing on the ground in his place. Damn it, what did I do to deserve this? I come back after being gone 2 years, get killed, transported to the middle of nowhere just to get here 8 years later to hook up with the girl I love, and she ends up going to another guy a day after I arrive. Why does everything bad happen to me? He kicked the night away in an attempt to clear his mind. Because weak people are unable to handle it. Bad things happen to strong people. Things seem to get worse the stronger you are. A new voice, resembling the Kyuubi but distinct, entered his mind and said, From what I can tell, you must be the strongest person in the world because of the pain you've endured. I acknowledge that your life has been difficult, but only you have the power to improve it. Another fresh voice said, Look to your heart for your answers, it hasn't failed you yet. What are you doing in my head, and who are you guys? Kyuubi's voice said, For one, I agree with him. I am the spirit of your Zanbatu, Kirikorosu, slay. And I am the spirit of your katana, Tetsuda, help. When did you guys arrive? In contrast to the demon you contain, we have access to memories and thoughts, but unlike him, we are here to help. We have always been here, but your mind was deteriorating so fast that we had to focus on keeping you able to behave like a person. Once you returned and had your mind healed, we simply had to wait for you to touch the swords again. All right, tell me how you can help and why you're here now. We have been around for many generations and have learned a lot. We can help by giving advice, and by fighting you can activate our purest form in fighting by calling out our names and channeling what you call chakra into us. Your mind summoned us to help you with your recent conflict with your lady friend. That hurts so much that I was trying to avoid talking about it. With a wise voice, Tetsuda questioned, and why does it hurt you so? I feel deceived, but worse, she is always by my side when I try to live my life and do everything I envision doing. I don't think I could survive without her. She is likely going through a more difficult time than you because she feels guilty about betraying you and believes that you have already left her. Well, that settles it. If you can't live without her, then don't leave her. Yes, that's true, but it's clear that she doesn't love me enough to not cheat on some jerk and even conceive with him. After giving it some thought, Naruto sighed in defeat. You're being too hard on her. Think about it. If she weren't so devastated about it, I'd agree. But she was almost sick from crying about the situation, and she did say that she still loved you. Still feeling down, he thought, I guess you guys are right. I just can't ignore her because she hurt me. I guess I'll try to fix it somehow. She's too good to you to let go, kid, that boy. This touchy-feely bullshit is giving me a headache, so please, you bastards, stop it. Shut up, dumb fox. I'm in charge here, so get along with it. Knowing that he was greatly outnumbered and that arguing would only become too much of a headache, Kyuubi complained and remained silent. It was only about 30 minutes after the hour had passed when he returned to the cabin and found Hinata still sobbing on the floor, too overcome with her grief to even notice the intruder. Naruto clearly saw what Kirakurosu was talking about. She was taking it very hard. Clearly, this wasn't someone putting on a show for him. She was devastated that she would lose him. Naruto went up to the sobbing girl and grabbed her wrist. He said sternly, come on, we're going to Sakura's to see if we can fix this. She jerked her hand away and gave him the look of someone who had killed her best friend. You're saying what? I'll accept my mistake and have the child. If I'm pregnant, I will never be with you, no matter how much I love you. So how could you even consider that as a possibility if that is what you believe to be the answer? Now enraged, Hinata simply gives him a menacing glare while he lets out a frustrated sigh. No, I didn't say that. I want us to go to Sakura to confirm your pregnancy and, if so, to ask her what I should do for you going forward. Even though you did something really foolish, I can't just stop loving you. Kiba isn't father material, based on what I've heard, so I suppose I would treat it like my own because it would be a part of you. You can be sure that I would love it just as much as I love you as long as you have me. And even if you don't, I will never leave you because I can't imagine my life without you. Hinata's rage turned into a tearful smile, but it was still a smile. All those years ago, I knew I had chosen the right person to love, and I will always love you too. I don't know what I'd do if you didn't return. Hinata stood and tried to kiss him, but he turned away, which made her cry once more. Why? Why don't you give me a kiss? She asked, still in tears. I need to feel that you still love me. I don't want to kiss you while I'm still feeling angry. Hinata-chan, please. I want us to have a good relationship during every kiss. After a brief moment of wiping her face, Hinata reluctantly agreed, and the two left the house to go look for their medic friend in the town. After taking her hand in his, Naruto said, okay Naruto-kun, let's go to Sakura's place. She should be home from the hospital by now. They set out to find Sakura, but halfway through the journey, Naruto realized he had no idea where he was going. So Hinata led the way until they arrived. 10 minutes later, a tired-looking pink-haired medic Nin greeted them after a knock. Hey everyone, what would you like? As she ushered her guests in, she asked, you guys want some tea? I was just heading to bed. No, Sakura-chan. Thank you, Naruto responded. Hinata-chan, or I mean we, have a big problem and it involves Hinata-chan most. So, what's the issue? You could have gone to someone else, but I assume it has to do with health. She came back. Hinata begins to sob once more, saying, well, and I don't know what happened. I didn't want to, but my body just acted. I never had before. Kiba stopped by while I was working, and I might be pregnant. He said he could smell it. By this point, Hinata was barely able to stand and was being supported by Naruto as she sobbed into his chest. So, Sakura-chan, do you think you could check her out? The medic just gaped in shock. However, I know you, Hinata, and you would never act in such a manner, especially after Naruto returned. You would have jumped him the day he came if you had really wanted it. Sakura used a simple scanning jutsu to gently touch Hinata's abdomen, allowing the chakra to seep into her body and revealing everything to the skilled medic. Something just isn't right here. They all smiled in relief as she said, well, it would be too early to tell for pregnancy, but the conditions aren't correct, so you can't be pregnant. Well, that's strange. This certainly made them listen more carefully so they wouldn't miss anything. Just as I thought. I've got more good news and some bad news, she said. The bad news is that you still have a chemical in your blood that is probably the cause of your problem. But the good news is that you are still a virgin. As far as I can tell, that's what got the weird out of me, because having a 22-year-old virgin is quite uncommon. After Sakura told them that, I doubt two people could have been happier. After spinning Hinata around by her waist several times and putting her down, Naruto yelled, "Wahoo, okay, Hinata-chan." "Hinata-chan, I'm so glad," he said, "although I truly didn't want to go through this so quickly. It has made me realize that nothing you could do would make me stop loving you. I would remain yours even if you were to put a kunai through my heart. I don't have the right gift, and it's sudden." But he took her hands and gave them a gentle pat. "Would you mind being Uzumaki Hyuga, Hinata? Are you going to wed me?" Sakura held her hand to her lips and gasped as Hinata's eyes widened and she smiled as fresh tears, the ones that feel right, found their way to her face. Everyone nearly died when they said, "No, yes," in that order. They said, "I would love to be married to you." He latched his lips to her soft pink ones with greed, and they remained in the moment as their tongues danced about each other, enjoying the taste of each other until they forced themselves apart, realizing they weren't alone. "I've been waiting and hoping for 14 years that it would be you that would finally ask that question," she said, reaching out and flipping the hood of his cloak down, drawing him closer as she gazed into his cerulean eyes. "All right, you too. That kiss seemed much too nice. Before I demand some of that, you'll have to go." "What? Sakura-chan, I had no idea you were into girls. You can't have Hinata-chan, even though I know she's a fantastic kisser." The two guests were laughing at the apparent joke, and steam was streaming out from beneath her pink hair. "Naruto, girls like that bother me out." Sakura slammed the front door behind them and pushed them both out. Hinata slaps his arm playfully and says, "Hey Hinata-chan, I bet you could change her mind on that if you kissed her half as good as you kissed me." She gave him a tender, brief kiss to demonstrate her point, saying, "My kisses are for you and you alone, my love. I have a few questions, but I can't express how relieved I am that you didn't do those things. Who do you think might have drugged you, and will those false experiences continue to haunt you?" He asked, but he was thinking about other things. "I think the drug was some kind of hallucinogen that, when combined with genjutsu, produces real memories. You would need a great deal of experience with that kind of advanced stuff. Even though I'm relieved it wasn't real, I can still clearly remember it. I'm hoping that the memory will wane over time and I won't remember anything." As Hinata recalled the incident, she triggered the waterworks once more. "It was strange, though, as if I had no control. I couldn't yell, scream, or do anything." "Don't worry, you're all right now. We'll get the jerk who hurt you." "Not as could you tell me when you might have taken drugs? Did you experience any strange feelings during that time?" Hinata thought she might have something after Naruto inquired. "Well, I did experience a mild headache today. It departed soon after the incident." "What else? When did it begin?" he asked, eager to track down and discipline the idiot. The realization dawned on her. "Well, I really don't know. I tried drinking the tea Hinori-san brought for me, but it got worse. How did I not realize it at first? Hinori gave me the tea first. He had to have done it. He is knowledgeable and skilled, and I believe he is upset with me for ending the marriage that Shishti is going to be killed. I've always wanted to see what the curse sealed does to a man, so let me try just this once, please," Hinata said, straining against Naruto as he held her close to him in an attempt to calm her. In a malevolent, maniacal manner, she inquired, "I don't understand why he can't take part in the gauntlet match, but we want to be done with the seal forever, so you can't be like the others. Hinata, tell him to leave. He qualifies because he is Jonin. Oh, he won't escape. This way he can be taken care of legally and you won't have to fall into the temptation of using the seal," he promised. "All right, but you're going to owe me, and you can't help yourself when I cash in on you." "Okay?" she asks with a slightly mischievous smile. "You got yourself a deal, but what is with the weird smile? It's cute, but seems, I don't know, weird." Hinata responded playfully, "Oh, that's really descriptive, but like you said before, I am weird." He stuck his tongue out and started running as Hinata followed, saying, "Yep, you are. But you know me. I love weird." They ran around the village, laughing and giggling all the way until a younger Jonin interrupted the game, and Hinata was amazed that at the speeds they were running, the hood of the cloak never once fell to reveal his face, but she had to change her mind as the Jonin approached. The cloak-wearing warrior's smile spread across his face when he saw the horizontal scar, from cheek to cheek and across the bridge of his nose. Even though you couldn't see his face, the intruding Jonin emerged from the shadows, revealing standard-issue pants and a Jonin jacket with the Konoha headband in the usual location. "You two should not be running around town like that. It's late." Without considering their identities, he gave a commanding order, saying, "You'll enrage the sleeping villagers." The dark-haired woman said, "Sorry Iruka-sensei, We didn't realize how late it was. The Jonin actually turned to face them. You're here, Hinata. It's nice to see you. Who is this young ninja you're having fun with? Since she was on duty the day before, he realized he should ask another question. How was your wedding yesterday? I haven't seen you enjoy life like this in a long time. When he saw who was with her, his once happy expression turned to one of disgust and disappointment. This isn't Hinori-san, is it? Naturally, this infuriated a certain blonde hothead, but he kept his cool and allowed Hinata to clarify. I didn't think you were that type of girl. I'm not that kind of girl. This isn't Hinori-san, and I didn't get married, so no. Iruka-sensei Iruka, who knew who she loved and was hurting because she would never find it, looked utterly pained at her explanation. I realized I couldn't marry someone I didn't love, and there is really only one person I can love. Iruka-sensei. He couldn't bear to see his first loved one in such agony, so Naruto asked to get his attention. Please, only students of mine can call me that. I stopped teaching 8 years ago due to family problems. Family problems? Naruto asked himself. He lost all of his family, but hell 8 years ago. Quickly assembling the puzzle, he came up with a solution to lift his spirits. Iruka-sensei, he said, emphasizing the sensei, do you think I could try on your headband? Knowing that he was referring to his past, Hinata grinned broadly. Mine was taken away many years ago, and I just want to see if I still like how it feels. No. You cannot. You should know very well that we don't give up our headbands. You are a coward for losing yours, he said sternly. Iruka was about to attack in rage, remembering those words from more than 10 years ago, when the hood of the cloak dropped, revealing the blonde's blue eyes and blonde hair. Hello Iruka-sensei. I'm back, the blonde called out rather loudly, and he looked to Hinata, not believing his eyes when she nodded. He looked back with tears in his eyes and gave the blonde a crushing hug. He then released him, untied his forehead protector, and handed the shining metal as the long black material flowed behind. I kept it tidy for you, Naruto, and now it's yours. You'll need it when you become Hokage. So welcome home later. When I'm not on duty, I'll ask you how you managed to survive. Thank you, Iruka-sensei. He hugged him, and both of them shed tears of concern. Well, Iruka-sensei, Hinata-chan and I should be leaving, as we have a plan to begin tomorrow in order to become the next Hokage, so please keep it under wraps. You won't have to be silent for very long, but only long enough for me to agitate the village a little bit, he said. I'll see you around. He grabbed Hinata's hand and ran back to the Hyuga cabin after putting the hood back on his head. I never really get a break around here, you know, Hinata-chan. As he walked slowly 20 feet away from the cabin, he said, even with a girlfriend, I always seem to have a knack for bringing trouble. Things still manage to get screwed up. I'm sorry Naruto-kun. Maybe if I wasn't so weak compared to you, I could help you more. She started to say, but was interrupted. Damn it, Hinata. How many times must I tell you to never even think that? Don't apologize either. You are much stronger than you realize, and strength doesn't have to be physical. There are other ways to measure it. For instance, you will never have my level of physical strength and you have access to the fox's nearly limitless chakra, but I will also never be able to see things that you can. I can easily blow things up and destroy a lot of things, but you can heal. I can't see through a basic genjutsu, but you can see through more complex ones with ease. In my opinion, you should try to use your strengths to compensate for someone else's shortcomings rather than attempting to transform yourself into something you were never going to be. In essence, I am stating that although we are opposites, we are equal in our abilities. We are so complementary to one another's strengths and shortcomings that we will be far more powerful if we stick together. I'm stronger when we're together, and I'm willing to wager that you feel the same way because we are united. We are already stronger than any one individual, you get it? His new fiancée nods in agreement. Good, I need a shower. This day definitely could have gone better, he says. After finding one more pair of pants that fit, Naruto dried off and went to bed. Because he was aware of Hinata's extraordinary vision, he turned down the lights while she was showering, so that there was just enough light to see if you got really close. He heard the water shut off and drifted off to sleep until he felt movement as she slipped into bed to join him, leaning against his warm, firm body as he wrapped his arms around her and felt his precious beauty's soft and smooth skin. Wait, soft and smooth skin? Well, what are you wearing, Hinata? She giggled in response to his question. It seems awfully thin. There wasn't anything that would fit, she says, rolling over and straddling his waist. What are you saying? Wait, you're nude. I don't. Well, what are you wearing, Hinata? She giggled in response to his question. It seems awfully thin. There wasn't anything that would fit, she says, rolling over and straddling his waist. What are you saying? Wait, you're nude. I don't. She laughed and said, most definitely. His eyes opened as she leaned in to kiss him, and they shared a passionate kiss as she ran her fingers through his hair and caressed his cheek with her other hand. When he pushed her away, his hands began to wander over her smooth skin. "I told you that we couldn't kiss in bed, we might get carried away, and with you naked we most definitely would," he argued. She began licking her lips sensuously, making Naruto a little uneasy. "I don't care if we do. I want to make sure I lose my virginity only to you. I'm calling in my favor you owe me earlier, you know, the one where you can't refuse," she said. "Help me forget that genjutsu with a better event, Naruto-kun, make love to me." After his encounters with Hinata, Naruto was soundly asleep when his new tenants interrupted his slumber. "Hey kid, we need to do some training. We can accomplish years worth of training in a single night if I combine efforts with Kirikorosu, and hopefully the unhelpful one behind the bars." "What the hell guys, I was just enjoying the most pleasant sleep of my life." "Actually it looks like you were enjoying the events before sleep better. Besides, that white-eyed girl is a fox, pun intended. Ero Kitsune. Don't involve her. Hey, stop complaining, we need training, the less you two gripe, the more we can accomplish." "Hey, hold on, how are you guys able to communicate with me? I assumed that in order to communicate, I had to be touching the weapons." "Really, you just need to be near the swords, and since they are currently by your bed, they are sufficiently close. Let's train now, and stop talking." "Alright, so what will we be using for training?" "You're going to train to unlock your hidden potential. You don't have the chakra reserves you had when you were 14, in fact, you have a lot more, but you can only access less than a third of it, which is about what you had back then. You unconsciously locked up your reserves during your travels. Additionally, we need to unlock your elemental potential, so let's go. We'll have about a year's worth of training in a single night. You'll need it because, once you declare your eligibility for Hokage, they'll test your skills right away, and a gauntlet match isn't a good match to have without stamina. Now don't question us and start." That night, the three of them alternated in training Naruto. Given that he wants to live as long as possible and that encountering a high-level shinobi could easily result in death, Kyuubi surprisingly contributed quite a bit to the training. Each exercise they performed was intended to unlock the chakra that had been locked, and they trained with the finished sword forms and his element. When the inhabitants of the village were still asleep when the sun's golden rays woke them up, he always finds time for that elemental training. "No matter what, I think I enjoy that jutsu too much." Still wearing a smile from the previous evening, Hinata woke up from her pleasant sleep and turned to face her partner when her smile wavered in a blue sphere surrounding him. Her fiancé was producing more chakra than she had ever experienced in her life. She reached out and touched the aura, enjoying its reassuring warmth, and discovering that it was totally harmless to her, she sat up beside him and gazed at his aura. "This chakra is so exhilarating. This power makes me feel as though I could do anything with it. It's so soothing." "Your vixen is awake and taking pleasure in your flaring chakra. Kit, your training is over. I think you are a fool, but for some reason I felt I should be proud. I'll give you my chakra if you need it, haha." Naruto was forced to return to his physical body from his mindscape as she regained consciousness. Hinata watched with some disappointment as the chakra weakened and withdrew back into his body. "Hey Hinata-chan. What's wrong? You seem disappointed." Startled that he was awake, she backed off a little before catching herself. She saw that he wasn't really listening to her, so she said, "And nothing's wrong, I was just admiring the chakra that was flowing around you. It felt so amazing." Her tone was slightly annoyed as she said, "Naruto-kun, what is your problem?" Sorry Hinata-chan, I was just hypnotized by the image of a stunningly beautiful naked woman." Seeing his piercing gaze, she glanced down at her body and back at his, blushing, smiling, and squealing in embarrassment while searching for a covering. "Where did you see?" she asked when Naruto encircled her with his arms, bringing her back to his chest and holding her there until she melted into his touch. She tensed. He whispered, "Hinata, you don't need to be embarrassed, you are more beautiful than anything." He kissed her pale neck twice, causing her to burst into laughter as he let her go and got out of bed. He explained, "All right, as much as I want to stay with you and reenact last night, we need to get ready for the action bound to happen today." When he saw his nude lover follow him into the bathroom, his playful smile doubled in size. "I'm heading to the shower. It would be more efficient if you joined me." At his request, Hinata erupted in laughter. "All right, Hinata-chan, we're clean and dressed, but I can't hold myself away anymore. I haven't had any ramen in 8 years. So can we go to Ichiraku's?" "Naruto-kun, you are still the same," she continued to chuckle. "Without your quirks, I wouldn't believe I was actually with you. Yes, we can go for ramen. I still can't believe you've managed to stay away from it for a whole 2 days." "Hey, you're mean. Laughing at me like that, Hinata-chan." She cups his cheek and whispers, "Shish, my love," until she can no longer hold back her laughter and starts laughing. This time, Naruto laughed at her abruptly subdued tone. Hey, you be nice to me, or I might not let you have some of those cinnamon buns today. Naruto noticed her smile but was unable to focus because his hair kept getting in the way. Huh, we both have a weakness, let's go okay? He said. Hey Hinata-chan, remind me to get this hair chopped off after the match, it just doesn't feel right. When he finally gave up and threw on his cloak to keep his hair out of his face, Hinata laughed at his struggle with it. Now that his hair was under control, they sped off in the direction of the ramen shop. Fortunately, no one was inside the restaurant when they walked in, or else they might have overheard the inevitable conversation when the young hostess came up to them. The two were seated at a table. While he was away, the ramen shop had grown to the stand next to it, making room for tables. Hi, welcome to Ichiraku's. My name is Ayame, I'll be, she says as she suddenly notices the faces of the two customers. Well, only one because of the cloak. Oh, Hinata, welcome back, the usual. Oh, and what would your mysterious friend want? She inquired with interest. Hinata silenced Naruto by putting a hand to his mouth before he could respond. Ayame didn't question the request and walked away with an odd expression as she went to get her father. Before I let him order, I need you and your father to promise me, nothing of what you see or hear can be told to anyone for a while. What was that for Hinata-chan? Inquired the agitated Brown. Ayame and her father returned a short while later. We don't need too many people to know you're alive yet, and I know you can't eat ramen like a normal person, and that could tip some people off that you've returned. The elderly man said. So Hinata-sama, what did you need of me? I need both of you to promise you won't speak of our order to anyone. It may seem strange now, but you'll understand, she replied. The owner of the ramen said, very well, for our favorite customer, we'll keep it a secret. She gave them a big smile and turned to face the other side of the table. Thank you. You have no idea how true that statement is, she said. Now you can give your order. Naruto began his order with a bright smile that nobody could really see. They just gave him a weird look and said, all right, old man, I'll take only 10 miso, 10 beef, and I try 5 of your chicken ramen for today. What? I can't eat too much, I've got to become Hokage today. Naturally, this pushed them over the edge, and they both passed out at the same time. Now why did they do that? I'm not getting any less hungry here. Quiet, love. Let's wake them up so we can get going. The couple roused the unconscious restaurant owners, and after a brief explanation of the circumstances, they started to receive orders and eat. After 20 minutes and 25 bowls, they paid their bill, at half price, of course, and headed for the Hokage tower to ask to be promoted to Hokage. Naruto had to suppress his laughter when he saw Kakashi completing a ton of paperwork in the Hokage's office. Naruto had to suppress his laughter when he saw Kakashi completing a ton of paperwork in the Hokage's office. Pardon me, Kakashi-san, said the head of Hyuga. Silver-haired Jonin said, Yo, oh, Hinata-san, what can I do for you? Well, my clan has found and backed a perfect candidate for the seat of Hokage, she responded. Really now, is that so? And I take it this is him then, the one that knocked out 3 guards and bested Neji all in one day? Yes, that is him. He is a Konoha shinobi with immense power that has returned from an extended mission where there is a problem as he was removed from all records for his mission, and the only one that could verify this was the 5th. I see, and how do I know he really isn't a spy? How far are you willing to go in backing him? He lazily asked. I back him completely. I would even put my life on the line in backing him. Alright then, we'll start the testing today. It's about 11 AM now, so I'll announce it and we'll proceed at about 1 PM at the exam stadium. We have all been itching for some action recently since the last one. What should we call you then? You can just call me Uzu, the applicant replied. Real explanatory, Uzu-san. I guess if you're good enough I'll see you later. The pale-eyed woman said, Kakashi-san. I would ask that Hinori-san be allowed to participate as well. Well, we usually only have the elites do battle, but I suppose we could allow it. Thank you, Kakashi-san. To get ready for the upcoming test, Naruto and Hinata left the tower. I think that went too well, Hinata-chan. No, that is how things typically work. The Jonins are desperate for a Hokage to take over because they don't want to handle all the paperwork. What am I actually getting into? This might be awful. You can succeed, so don't worry. Even if it's just to ease office tension, I'll assist you where I can. Real forward, isn't she? You hot minx, are you attempting to woo the Hokage? She laughed as she replied, No, I don't think I have to seduce, just offer. Alright, lovely, what do you think about getting some of those cinnamon buns I promised you? He didn't really need to ask because Hinata took hold of his arm and dragged him to her favorite store. They paid for them and then went to the park a short distance away to enjoy their purchase. The cinnamon desert vanished quickly after they sat down, and Naruto was savoring the last of his second bite. After saying, "Hey Hinata-chan, you go through those as fast as I go through ramen," he noticed an odd expression on his girlfriend's sweet face. Why are you staring at me that way, Hinata?" As she lay on top of him, Hinata licked her lips ravenously and jumped at him. Engulfing his lips with hers, they soon separated. She said to him, Your lips taste very sweet, my love." "Oh, I see, you just kissed me for the sugar from the dessert, huh?" She began to explain, "Well, I guess you could say that, I just love the taste of MPF," but was interrupted by another intense kiss. Naruto smiles at his fiancée as she gasps for air, saying, "You taste pretty good yourself, but I doubt that it is the cinnamon buns." He laughs a little and takes her hand, gently squeezing it. "Let's get going. We should get there a few minutes early and we just walk there from here." They strolled in silence and conversed for a while before they reached the stadium, which was a hive of activity the Hokages were acting when they made their way through the crowd to the contestant and VIP box. "Ah, you're here. Let's go through who you'll be fighting," stated Shizune, as she sat him down. "Now first you'll start with Hinori-san. Then you'll battle Kiba-san, followed by Kakashi-san with the final fight with Jiraiya-sama. Since he just returned, now you don't have to defeat all of them, but you must show that you are capable of coming close with those odds against you. There are no rules in the matches, but if at all possible don't kill anyone, but be careful, you might die yourself." "Thank you for your concern, but I'll be fine." "Okay. Your battle starts as soon as you arrive. Iruka will be officiating the match. If he says it's over, listen to him." As everyone gasps, Naruto leaps out of the VIP box and lands in a crouch in the center of the stadium. Leaving footprints where he landed, Iruka came out and declared the opening game. "Welcome villagers and ninjas. We are here in the attempt to induct a new Hokage like every battle before. It will be gauntlet style. The first match will be Hyuga Hinori versus the Hokage applicant Uzu-san." Iruka took on the opponents after Hinori arrived. "Fighters ready? Begin." "Huh. I get to kill you myself for messing up my chance to have my curse seal removed. I bet you left her after her sexual indiscretion." "That is where you are wrong, you stupid bastard. I will never leave Hinata, and you will be punished for drugging and using psychological techniques in the attempt to harm her. I kept her from killing you with the seal and set this up just for you." When the match ended, before anyone saw a move, just a flash of light, Hinori leapt back and assumed a Jiyuken stance, readying himself for an attack. As the Hyuga rolled on the ground in agony, he cried out, "Son of a bitch. Oh, hell, I can't see what the hell. It hurts shit." Now imagine that the salty tears will sting like a mother when they get into those wounds when he begins to cry from the pain. "What happened is I took the thing you value the most, your sight. You didn't even have a chance to activate your bloodline ability, or you may have seen the attack. Before you knew it, I shot out your eyes. My chakra gun takes too much time and chakra to be useful in an active fight to kill, but if I use less chakra, and the moron stays in one spot, I can fire at a quicker rate, but it has less kick behind it. With the amount of power I put into those shots, it should feel like you got your eyes poked out with a blunt stick. My description on how the weapon works sucks, but blame my cold. I can't think straight. On top of that, you will suffer something worse than death for your torturing of my Hinata. You will be forced to life a worthless life being a Hyuga with no bloodline ability. That should torture you worse than death could." Naruto spoke in a quiet, cold voice that no one was able to hear. As the stadium erupted in a thunderous cheer, Iruka declared, "Winner Uzu-san. Times 17s, next match Kiba, you're up." Kiba leapt to the stage, eager for combat, and said, "Let's go, Akamaru." Naruto exclaimed, "Damn dog boy, that thing is huge." Akamaru yells, "Stick it cloak boy," at Kiba. "Huh, you say he smells like Hinata? Hey you, why do you smell like Hinata?" "Well, I guess it is because I took her to lunch today," he replied. "No, not like that. He says it is more intimate than that. If you have done anything to her, I'll kill you." "Like you could. Besides, what Hinata chooses to do with me is none of your business." The flying vortex of Kiba and Akamaru rushed towards the blonde who was waiting, saying, "You bastard, I've tried to get her and you just arrive and get her in a few days. You will die for tricking her like that, Gatsuga." Naruto easily halts the attack with the blade's broad edge when Kirikorosu, his Zanbatsu, is only a few feet away. Naruto enraged Kiba by saying, "You'll have to do better than that if you wish to defeat me." "All right, then, you are going to be the victim of the Inuzuka clan's most powerful technique, Jinju Kanbi Henge, Sotoro." Kiba and Akamaru changed into a massive, two-headed, white wolf creature that was more than 3 people tall. The blade wielder barely avoids each blow as the beast stomps and swipes at him. "I can't keep avoiding him like this. He's gotten a lot stronger." He raises the sword to his opponent and channels chakra into it, saying, "Kirikorosu, lend me your strength. I had hoped to save these for later matches, but I suppose it's now or never. As you wish. The enormous Zanbatsu, which has grown to almost 7 feet in height, glows bright blue. Slaying slash. Naruto slashed the sword in a X shape, sending shockwaves of blue chakra in the direction of the beast. The X exploded with blood as the shockwaves struck its side following the attack, which dispelled the jutsu and rendered Kiba and Akamaru unconscious. They collapsed to the ground. As the one-eyed Jonin emerged, a cloud of smoke filled the arena. Kiba is unable to continue. Winner Uzu-san. Time 5 minutes 14 seconds. Kakashi, please come to the arena for the next battle. As the one-eyed Jonin emerged, a cloud of smoke filled the arena. Kiba is unable to continue. Winner Uzu-san. Time 5 minutes 14 seconds. Kakashi, please come to the arena for the next battle. Yo, that was pretty amazing up until now, but now you're against me. I would like to know why you haven't used any jutsus yet. Kakashi, you'll just use your Sharingan to copy my jutsus. I won't show you any of them if I use any jutsus at all. They will all be seal-less. The Jonin whips out a kunai and assumes a defensive stance as Kakashi puts his book in his front pouch and slides his forehead protector to reveal his Sharingan's red eye. Now put away your perverted book and let's fight. You seem to know a bit about me. Even some of the more seasoned ninja in this village don't know about what the Sharingan can do. I've already engaged in combat with the Sharingan a few times, so I'm not your typical leaf shinobi either. I don't think you'll move as slowly as Kiba, so I shouldn't use my Zanbatsu. In addition, it requires a lot of chakra to wield its final form. Naruto drops the heavy sword to the ground, draws the Tetsuda, and then vanishes with a spectacular display of speed. He reappears with a downward slash after the drawn kunai lazily blocks it. As he jams his kunai down to the back of the cloaked fighter's neck, piercing his spinal cord, Kakashi reappears in a poof and says, "Your speed isn't bad, but not quite good enough. You'll never beat me at that rate." Hinata screamed in her head, "No, please be okay Naruto-kun." As she cringed externally, Kakashi was disappointed that the battle was so brief and that there had been so many casualties before he was covered in smoke. What are those? I never saw him create a shadow clone, but he might be faster and stronger than I imagined. As Kakashi examined the ground and discovered some odd metal lying there, the silver-haired Jonin Naruto unexpectedly materialized behind him and tapped him on the shoulder. I discovered some strange metal about 5 years away from here with his now missing book. Naruto taunted Kakashi, saying, "You need to keep an eye on this if you want to keep it." He threw the book back to him and prepared his sword. The two vanished as metal clashed and sparks flew in all directions. They reappeared on the ground, where you could see the two panting and slash marks scattered across the ground and sliced up clothing. Tetsuda, lend me your power, is Naruto's way of taking things a step further, drawing chakra into his sword. Coming right up, as Naruto charged at him with his sword ready, Kakashi focused on his right arm and pulled a ball of chakra to his hand, which exploded into brilliant lightning. Chidori, Kakashi called out as he caught the blade of the sword in his hand as his eyes shows a glint of superiority until he looked at the smirk hiding in the shadow of the hood. Sensing he made a huge mistake, Kakashi attempted to let go of the blade, but was too late. Great shockwave. Kakashi's Jonin uniform was torn apart by a sharp burst of chakra, which threw him back against the nearby wall. He was rendered unconscious after striking his head against the wall. Uzu-san won by KO. Next and final match of the day, Jiraiya-sama, legendary Toad Sannin vs unknown applicant Uzu-san. The crowd cheered louder as the white-haired Sannin took the stage, flashing his lecherous grin to all the ladies. Ready, begin. The crowd was on their feet, cheering on the cloaked fighter who was panting and leaning on his sword like a crutch. Naruto stands slowly, gripping his left arm and breathing heavily, his sword buried in the ground. Jiraiya laughed as he waved to some women in skimpy clothing, saying, "Looks like you need to work on your stamina, you seem tired." Jiraiya shot him a strange look and dismissed it as him being overconfident. "No, my stamina is greater than yours, but I don't wish to scare off anyone with my extra reserves. Even if that is so, I would like to present a bet for you." "I'm listening. I challenge you to a jutsu versus jutsu match because I'm getting too old to keep up with your speed and attacks. We each develop our strongest attack jutsu and compete against one another. The victor is the one who survives. You agree?" A smirking Jiraiya extends his right palm as a blue ball of densely swirling chakra forms, saying, "Sure old geezer, but you generate first." Rasengan, the Yondaime's prized jutsu. Since so few people have witnessed that attack since Yondaime, the crowd gasps and looks in wonder at the beautiful ball of death. Anko says confidently, "Looks like your boy loses this one, Hinata." "You're wrong, Anko-san, he can't lose now. Are you aware of what you're discussing? Rasengan from the Yondaime is an A-class jutsu with very few opponents." Hinata smirked when she noticed the snake charmer's disbelieving expression. That is true, Anko-san, but he is also the most surprising ninja around. Very nice, but I have a better one for you, Ero-senin. What was the name you gave me? Suddenly Jiraiya's eyes bugged as the cloaked ninja held out his own palm mimicking the Sannin's gesture. Generating a perfect sphere of swirling blue chakra, Naruto smiles at his opponent, but he was unable to see it. I'll see your Rasengan, and raise you one. Concentrating on the sphere in front of him, 3 clones of him run to his side from where they were hiding, holding their hands towards the sphere. Wind starts to pick up in the stadium as it starts to swirl around the ninja, blowing bits of blonde hair about Naruto's face. The chakra ball springs blades that revolve on its axis, showing immediate pain if you were to get close. This is the next stage of the Rasengan, the Fuden. Rasengan Shuriken, are you truly prepared to face AS class jutsu attack? Jiraiya shook his head and closed his hand, canceling the jutsu. The match is over. Iruka, I don't know how you did it. All of it ramen brat, since not everyone receives a Sannin's praise. The crowd cheers as Jiraiya, the legendary Toad Sannin, accept this fighter's strength in order to be prepared for Hokage. Hitaki Kakashi, of course he wasn't knocked out long, accept the strength of this fighter to be worthy of Hokage. The crowd roars in approval. The audience is now roaring as the viewer shouted, Morino Ibiki, accept this fighter to be strong enough for the title of Hokage. Madarashi Anko, accept the fighter's ability to be beyond that of a Hokage. Amino Iruka, accept this fighter to have the qualities befitting of the Hokage. She yelled at the audience, Hyuga Hinata, clan head of the Hyuga, accept and officially nominate this fighter to be Hokage. By the laws of Konoha, you are accepted as a potential Hokage. All you need to do is wear and survive the curse of this necklace for 6 months, Shizune said, to the ecstatic crowd. I apologize to Shizune, but I've already shown that nothing, not even the necklace, can make me any less Hokage. Not even accusing me of a crime I didn't commit, acting within my rights in battling a missing nin, and having a village full of shallow people trying to execute me, so what can a little necklace do to me? I won't wait that long since I have already survived with the necklace for 2 years. He said, dropping his cloak to reveal his long blonde hair and glistening blue eyes. I really have missed this necklace, but I wish Ba-chan was here to give me the job. He sighs, Uzumaki Naruto, accept the title of Hokage as long as the village accepts me for who I am and not what I carry. He takes the necklace from the sobbing Shizune and puts it around his neck using my own strength rather than the one I was cursed with. I have demonstrated my strength. Okay, Konoha, this is your last test. The village's ninja accept me, and I have Hinata. The only thing left to do is to see past your fear of the fox, he thought. The crowd fell silent after witnessing everything that had happened to them. They were shocked that the demon brat had returned, but they had no doubts about his strength, and since no one had died in the match and he had even gained support from the gentle Hyuga head, they never saw any use of evil chakra. As they were thinking about the situation, there was a lone individual standing in the crowd, clapping gradually. More people joined the clapping, until the noise became deafening. At one point, you could hear people shouting, Rokudame, Rokudame. His whiskered face was beaming with joy when Hinata joined him, clinging to his arm, and the two simply reveled in the acclaim. As the crowd began to cheer once more and Hinata leapt down to Naruto's side, Ibiki addressed them, saying, We the acting Hokage, and village, grant acceptance of Uzumaki Naruto as the next Hokage after, of course, extensive training for that title for when he takes the position in 2 years' time. Now that I've been accepted as the head of my clan and you have each other, Naruto-kun, you have the recognition you've always desired. Is there anything else that could improve our lives? With a broad smile that rivaled his own, Hinata questioned the new Hokage. Yes, I can think of something else I have always wanted. Naruto-kun, really, what is it that you lack that you might desire? Naruto leaned to her ear as she asked out loud. He nipped at her ear, making her flush, and whispered, I still need one thing for my life to be perfect, a family. They both blush as they share a passionate kiss in front of the village. Well, Naruto-kun, I guess we can start work on that tonight. In a contemplative pose, he remarked, You bet, Hinata-chan. You know, I've always wondered what a blonde would look like with the Byakugan. As she hugged her partner and gazed up at the still applauding crowd, she said, Me too. As the village concealed in the leaves, Konoha discovered a new Hokage. The chants, Rokudame, 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 could be heard. As Naruto released his grip on his fiancée and began gathering up his weapons that were left on the ground, the crowd continued to cheer. He sheathed Tetsuda and then proceeded to the large Zanbatsu, where he noticed Kiba standing on the weapon. Hey dog boy. How are you and your puppy doing? Kiba smirked at the question, which surprised me. I'm glad you're back, Naruto. Damn you, yes, I did have some feelings for Hinata, but they pale in comparison to her love for you. If I had known you were still alive, I never would have tried for her. Don't worry about it, Kiba, everything should be alright as long as you don't pursue her right away, no ill will. Naruto smiled and held out his hand to the dog user, but Kiba simply shook his head, grinning and shaking his own hand. Now that that's out of the way, would you mind giving me my sword? Kiba picked up the sword and had to use both hands to pull it toward the blonde. Holy hell, that thing is heavy. Naruto simply grinned broadly at him, took hold of the hilt, swung the weighty blade onto his back, and fastened it as if it were nothing. Hey, you should look at those weights I wear. You think that's heavy? In any case, we're gathering the group to catch up, so if you can, go to Ichiraku's ramen. Yeah, that's not a problem, only I'm here right now. The rest will be returning from their missions within the hour, so I'll be sure to tell them to meet you there, but do us all a favor and cut that hair. Hey, you try to live 8 years without a good barber. I found it looks better if you let it grow than to try and cut it yourself, but I'm definitely going right now to get it cut. It is pissing me off. With a slight wave, Naruto left Kiba and came to her side. Hey beautiful, let's go find someone to cut this hair, it is in the way. Hinata pulled him through the thronging crowd and down the street to a store that had recently reopened following the battle, saying, yeah, you do look weird with long hair, but I know the perfect place to bring you. Good evening, Hokage-sama and Hyuga-sama, how may I help you? The barber inquired. Naruto sat down in the chair and said, well, I think it is obvious, I have a few feet of hair to get rid of. Yes, exactly how would you like it completed? Not sure, it's been so long. Hinata approached the barber at that moment and intoned something in his ear. As the hair began to fly, Hinata sat in one of the waiting chairs and said, yes, that would do nicely, Hyuga-sama. The barber finished almost 30 minutes later and turned the chair around so Hinata could see him. She immediately gave him a very sexy smile as she approached him, ran her fingers through his hair, then grabbed a handful and pulled his face to hers as she latched onto his lips. She gave the barber the money and resumed kissing her fiancé, saying, the haircut is perfect. In between kisses, Naruto said to her, you know it is going to be hard to walk with you clinging to me like this. Regardless, Naruto got up and left, leaving her staring at his retrenchment. I don't care, I haven't gotten enough of you yet. Are you coming, gorgeous? The dark-haired girl rushed to him and clung to his arm, resting her head on his shoulder as he shouted back over his shoulder while grinning at her. She remarked, you never looked at your hair before you left. He drew her closer to him as they proceeded toward the ramen shop, saying, I didn't need to, the look on your face was enough for me. If you're happy with it, I'm happy. Naruto was having one of the best days of his life as he was walking through the village. Nobody scowled at him or called his name, but everyone was rushing out of their houses to greet him with smiles. It took him almost an hour to reach the ramen shop, and during that time, he began to overhear some of the conversations. You're keeping us in the dark, Sakura and Kiba, even though you know who the next Hokage will be. Everyone in town seems to be celebrating a new Hokage, but nobody is revealing who it is. Tenten demanded. Now tell us who he is, while the two being questioned remained silent. Before Ino felt Shikamaru's hand on her shoulder, she threatened, hey forehead girl, don't make me go into your mind and find what you're keeping from us. I will give you one hint, Sakura said. He was the one that ended Hinata's marriage and put Neji down when he tried to stop him. He also beat me, and Kakashi in the same night and had a jutsu more powerful than the Rasengan from Jiraiya, chimed in Kiba. When they heard voices approaching, the slender blonde pouted, oh that helps you too. Everyone's gaze shifted to the blonde holding his smiling girlfriend affectionately. Here is your next clue. I proposed to Hinata last night and she gladly accepted. Hey guys. He looked almost exactly like the Yondaime, save for the black t-shirt and black cargo pants. Shikamaru eyed the blonde and muttered, man, he looks like the Yondaime. Naruto, it is good to see you alive. I guess it would have been too troublesome to die, huh? Naruto grinned broadly. Naruto gave Hinata a passionate kiss before bringing out a chair for her as they sat at the table, Hinata still holding onto her future husband's arm and leaning on him. Well, it was quite troublesome to walk for 8 years from where that damn fox sent me, but I'm glad I got back in time to get Hinata back where she belongs and I even get to be Hokage, Naruto said. While the rest of the group, with the exception of Kiba and Sakura, appeared largely unchanged, Choji dropped his bag of chips and stared with wide eyes and a pale face. So, are you two engaged? With a smile on her face and her entire attention on avoiding fainting, Ino asked. The two blushed as the others spat out the water they were drinking when Kiba said, well, they are officially fully intimate with each other. Naruto retorted, "You know they really didn't need to know that dog breath, but I don't care because I love her and will never leave her, so we are allowed to do that, right Hinata-chan?" Tucci and Ayame simply came out with their orders, and the group began eating and talking about everything but Naruto and Hinata's intimacy. Eventually, the day came to an end as the newly reunited friends parted ways to go their separate ways, and now that everything was official, Hinata was dragging her love to her home, the Hyuga Manor, where they are to spend the rest of their lives. "Yes, I don't care either, it may have been our first time, but I loved every minute of our intimacy and it can only get better." They saw a hilarious sight on their way to the manor. A blind man with his eyes bandaged was stumbling towards the manor. Note that I'm not saying it's funny to see a blind person struggling. This is just a different situation. Hinata looked at Naruto with a glint in her eye and received only a nod in return, but that was enough, so she hurried to the man, helped him up, and led him into a nearby building. "Thanks for your assistance, could you please tell me who you are so I can give you something in return for your generosity?" Hinata approached him as her breath tickled his ear as he asked. Hinori shuddered to know who had helped him, but he couldn't pinpoint his location until he heard her again. "I'm someone whose life you never should have tried to destroy with your drugs, you bastard." "Oh, it's a pervert in a blind man's clothes." As she pushed him through the door into the hot springs to a large group of angry women, Hinata screamed and heard fists hitting flesh and cries of pain before running back out into her love's waiting arms. They were soon in Hinata's room as Naruto began to look around. "Hinata-chan, that was oh so mean, but so very worth it." He picked her up and began kissing her as she wrapped her legs around his torso, keeping her position at eye level as she continued to make out with him until the background screaming forced them to separate so they could escape the thrashing. "Hey Hinata, what's down this hall?" he said, opening a door into a dim hallway. "This room is bigger than that entire cabin. You sure know how to live it up. You should try it. It's a great way to clean up after a hard battle and helps to relax your muscles. That's the route to my private whirlpool hot tub while you bathe. I'll go see if I can find some clothes for you around here." Naruto put down his swords and proceeded down the hall. Discovering that the room was illuminated simply by his presence, his mouth dropped open in awe at the rather large room with the enormous tub in the center. "This is your rated M warning. Yes, you guessed it, things will get a little steamy from here." His eyes popped open when he felt very wet pressure on his lips, but he quickly closed them again after seeing his dripping wet Hyuga in his face. He turned on the water, which was very hot, and watched as it filled with the steaming liquid after the tub was filled. He located the control panel and turned on the water jets before stripping and lowering himself into the water, relaxing in the soothing waters as his muscles relaxed from his fight. She broke the kiss and said, "I see you're enjoying the tub." She gave him a smile and motioned for him to turn away from her, saying, "Well, it just got better with you here." She said, "Let me wash you." He turned around as she snatched up the soap and lathered his hair and back, massaging his scalp and back until he was clean enough, then dipping him into the tub to rinse him off. "A little warning next time," he sputtered out after coming out of the water. She just giggled and turned her back to him after handing over the soaps. He lathered up her long hair and meticulously kneaded her scalp, causing some slight moans to escape her lips as she was greatly enjoying it. He moved down and massaged her back with the soap running up and down her sides, causing her to shiver with enjoyment. She suddenly let out a squeak when he unexpectedly started to massage her two large mounds from behind. Hinata leaned back into him, relaxing completely on his chest as he squeezed and massaged her nipples while he kissed her shoulder. She whimpered out in protest as he stopped his actions and gently eased her head back into the water, rinsing off her hair. He brought her back up and hugged her tightly from behind as she smiled at him, and the extra pressure on her lower back from something else. She forced his arms off her as she twisted around to face him and stood up a bit, showing off her voluptuous body. "Are you attracted to my body?" Hinata groaned as he nodded and watched his eyes widen as she approached and straddled his lap, guiding him into her under the water. He felt her tightness slowly enveloping his hardened manhood as she began rocking back and forth on his lap, moaning with each thrust she made, and she almost lost it when Naruto began to play with her breasts again. She felt the heat rise deep inside her, and she gasped when she felt her lover grab her ass and begin to roughly pound deep into her. Using the extra leverage, she made so much noise that she didn't hear him, but she could feel the rumble in his throat as he groaned after plunging deeply and holding her there. After she completed her task, she gave him a deep lip lock and said, "I should take a bath like this more often." There were some giggles when he responded, "Yes, I believe we should." "My love, are we a little protective?" she joked, and he smiled and nodded vigorously. They got out of the tub, pulled the drain, and then carefully toweled each other off before going to bed to sleep the rest of the night. When morning arrived, the new Hokage's pleasant dream came to an end, but the sensation he was experiencing in his dream persisted. He opened his eyes in awe of what he saw and clearly understood why the dream had persisted. His fiancée was lying on top of him, her eyes closed, playing with her dark hair, and riding him while he slept. Hinata stopped everything she was doing when she heard the words, "Talk about your ultimate turn-ons." Her eyes widened. She stammered, embarrassed, "I'm sorry, hard, couldn't help myself," which made the blonde yell with laughter. "Please don't stop claiming that I'm awake. I can't believe you rode me like this while I was asleep." She smiled and nodded vigorously, then resumed her actions, filling the room with moans, groans, and other pleasant sounds. An hour later, the newly showered and dressed couple stepped out into the hall. "In the future, please wake me up if you're horny. My love, I enjoy sex as much as you do." Warning rating, and mainly, "Where are you now, sexy?" With a gentle pat on her back, Naruto posed the question. "I would prefer that you stroke the front rather than the back for breakfast, but that will have to wait until you are alone once more, so, I guess just breakfast," she said, flashing him a seductive smile. "You object to me touching your butt, then?" With a slight pout, he asked. "No, that isn't it. It's just that you might as well go all the way if you do something like that to get me interested," she told him. "When we are in public, let's just keep the touching light, like holding hands, hugging, and stuff like that." Hinata grinned and leaned in to give him a quick kiss, saying, "Okay, as long as I can still kiss you." They both laughed at her remark. "I'll never refuse those. Now let's see what the cooks have made. Sex makes me so very hungry." They then went in search of the much-needed food, and after they finished, which was an incredible amount for both of them, they took a seat on a big bench swing in Hinata's personal garden. She snuggled closer to Naruto as he whispered in her ear, "You know, I could sit with you forever." He received a contented sigh in return. "I'm afraid that will have to be put on pause, Naruto-sama. Apparently there are some members of the village council and a few other people that have gathered a resistance against you." "Thank you, Neji. As you are aware, I could probably kill them all and there wouldn't be any issues anymore, but that would only make things more difficult and improve their opinion of me." A rather irate Hokage-elect responded. "Where are they gathered? I will meet with them to determine the conditions of their surrender. In fact, they have insisted that the meeting be arbitrated by the Hyuga head in the council chambers. They have already assembled." Naruto got up and helped his future wife off the bench, saying, "Okay then, Hinata and I will pay them a visit right away." "Thank you, Neji." They walked into the manor and up a flight of stairs hand in hand, largely ignoring the branch members who were staring at them, but Hinata noticed something that made her smile evilly. "Don't you think this rug looks dangerous, Naruto?" Before catching up to her lover, Hinata moved the old curling rug to the top of the stairs and said, "There, that is much safer. You could trip and fall on it so easily." "What was the point of that, Hinata?" His question went unanswered as a loud series of clunking was heard rushing over to the stairs. They saw a blind Hyuga groaning in pain at the bottom of them with an old rug draped over him. Naruto looked to his beloved and saw the purely sadistic grin on her face that strangely was turning him on. "Alright babe. I say you gave him enough for now. Should we keep going?" After giving him a cheek kiss, she took his hand and dragged him to the council chamber. When the two entered the room, they gasped as they saw his face. Aside from the blemishes on his cheeks, his blue eyes and blonde hair resembled their previous Hokage. With the exception of the customary robes, they shook themselves out of their reverie to begin their demands. "I don't think you really comprehend what you supported as the Hokage, Hyuga-sama. Since you were unaware of his true identity, we think you were duped into bringing him out," the group leader said, infuriating Hyuga. "That's where you're mistaken. I supported him despite being fully aware that he was Uzumaki Naruto and harbored the nine-tailed fox demon. I've known him for a long time, and I firmly think that he is the kindest person in the world. He was wrongfully convicted and given the death penalty for crimes for which he should never have been charged in the first place." Naruto was trying to keep his emotions in check, but he was secretly grinning at the thought of someone carefully defending him. "Over the years, it appears that the demon has corrupted your thoughts. We recommend that you withdraw your support as a result. We won't exterminate the demon, but he will need to be constantly watched for any amusing behavior." Hinata couldn't contain her anger and disgust at the jerks, so she rushed forward and grabbed the talking fool by the throat. "You understand that I will end your life if you even mention my fiancé again." With haste, Naruto approached her and wrapped his arm around her waist. "Hinata-chan, don't bother him. As you can see, I am not the threat you believe I am," she said, reluctantly dropping the haughty ass where he was and allowing him to drag her away. "There will be no killing of anyone, so let the idiot go. You are truly trying my patience here, and if I were, I would have already killed you all." Given his intelligence, the Yondaime must have been aware that this could occur. "Has he given me instructions or some kind of test to prove that I am who I claim to be?" The elders talked among themselves before realizing something. He did. Indeed, he left a steel box with the sandame to be hidden in a distant temple, where you would have to retrieve it if you weren't under the demon's control. Only a properly sealed Jinchuriki can retrieve the box, which is sealed to prevent anyone from touching it while under the influence of a demon, including humans. So, will you think that I am not the demon and that I want to keep this village safe if I manage to get this box back safely? Yes, we trust the Yondaime in his decision. So why in the world don't you consider him to be the hero that the Yondaime desired? Hinata screamed. That was his decision too, but you just pick and choose what you want to follow. Naruto hugged her closer, calming some of her rage. He turned to go, but he was stopped. I will leave today to find this box, expect me back in a few weeks. No, we're going out today after getting you back after almost 10 years. I will never again allow you to leave my sight for even a moment. I'm coming with you. There was no need or desire to protest, just a nod as they went outside and shut the door. As soon as the door shut, Naruto violently grabbed the back of her head and gave her the longest, lustful, and deepest kiss she had ever experienced. What the hell was that F for? Between breaths, Hinata let out a gasp. That's because displaying your power in that way makes you look so incredibly attractive. Another reason is that I can't find the right words to express how much I love you in order to return here more quickly. Let's now pack for our mission. Both of them departed for Hinata's, their room and got ready for the trip. As many members of the family gathered in the area to bid farewell to their esteemed leaders, the couple entered the Hyuga Manor's entrance after packing for the trip. Neji said, somewhat smiling, Hinata-sama, everything has been taken care of for your time being gone. There will be extra paperwork when you return, but you are aware of that. Thank you Neji-ni-san. Naruto-kun, do you know where we are to be going? Naruto grinned broadly before taking Hinata's hand. Nope. I just thought we would stop by the Hokage Tower. Oh, wait, we just need to stop by my office for some information. It will be hard to get used to being called the Hokage, but not too hard. Before they left the manor, they heard someone yelling as they fell out the second-story window. Well darling, let's get going. We have much to discuss on our travels. She turned to face him and gave him a genuinely phony, malevolent grin. Hinata-chan, will there come a time when you stop torturing Hinori Teme? She asked. Only when I stop being tortured by images of what I thought I did due to his illusion. Fair enough. I do believe this is much more fun than straight up killing him. Naruto dragged her into an alley and pinned her against a building before engaging in a passionate makeout session. That it is my love. I am so glad you didn't let me kill him. At least now if I get an image from that day, I can follow it up with one of Hinori getting beat down, which calms me. Hinata grinned and licked her lips before turning to leave the alley and continuing on their walk to the tower. There, that is something else you can think of. He had to chuckle this time when he walked into the Hokage's office because Anko, the half-dressed sadist, was doing the paperwork while a plate full of dango sat on one end of the desk and a stack of wooden skewers on the other. She heard the laughter while she was eating some of the aforementioned dango and signing a document. She got to her feet angrily, ignoring her jacket as it flew open, exposing that she was wearing nothing but the fishnet shirt underneath. With a hint of irritation, she said, well now what do I owe the pleasure of your presence? The older Jonin turned to face the blonde and his companion and noticed Hinata blushing as she turned away. Nice rack, but Hinata-chan's is much more attractive to me, so don't think I'll go easy on you when I take over. When Anko eventually glanced down and saw her jacket open, he simply grinned. As they gazed at the dango lover who still hasn't bothered to cover herself, the color left their faces. Well, I challenge that assumption. You'll have to prove to me that it is true before I answer any question you have. Anko pleaded. Come on, girl. Take him out. When Hinata turned to face Naruto, all she saw was a shrug of embarrassment. With a quiet sigh, she untied her traditional Hyuga robe and let it drop to the floor, exposing a completely nude woman instead of looking out of place on her smaller frame. Her large breasts seemed to elegantly blend in with the rest of her womanly curves and hung perfectly on her well-toned body. Anko swiftly pulled her jacket around her, concealing more than she had ever done, while Naruto assisted Hinata with her robe. Good lord girl. Put those clothes back on before anyone sees you. If they do, I'll never be able to wear my outfit in public. I feel slightly ashamed of my body now. Hinata reassured Anko-san. Don't feel ashamed, you have a great looking body. Besides, no man will ever see my flesh other than my Naruto-kun. This made Anko settle back in her chair even more. Naruto blushed and laughed nervously at the comment. Well, don't show too many women either, you might just be enough to turn them gay. Well anyways, what was it you came here for? I know it wasn't to compare racks. Ahem. Yes, you were right. I was told that the Yondaime had a steel box hidden by old man Hokage that I am in need to find. Do you happen to know where it is that I could find this box? Asked Naruto. No I don't, but Jiraiya-sama is still in town, and he will most likely know its whereabouts. Before the two departed to find the pervert, Hinata said, "Thank you, Anko-san." Anko sobbed in private, realizing that she was no longer the most attractive person in Konoha. They soon located the pervert at the first hot spring where Naruto had ever seen him, precisely where he believed he was. The white-haired Sannin was easily caught off guard by the couple without him even realizing it. "Ero Sennin!" Jiraiya exclaimed, jumping 5 feet into the air after his former student terrified him to death. He grumbled, "Damn it, brat, you made me lose my research." So, just imagine the research you could have had when Anko's jacket flew open revealing her chest. No. As the pervert pictured the goldmine he had missed, tears streamed from his eyes. "Now Ero Sennin, I need to retrieve the Yondaime's box the old man hid. Do you know where it is?" He looked at Hinata and said, Maybe what are you going to do for it?" With a seductive smile he felt a chakra-powered fist to the face, something he hadn't experienced in almost a decade. "Hinata-chan," said Naruto, "now we're going to have to wait for him to wake up. Couldn't you have beaten his ass without knocking him out?" "Well, maybe I did overdo it a bit, but maybe now he won't look at me like that," she argued. "I wouldn't bet on that, but maybe he might think twice about being so forward about it." Jiraiya began to regain consciousness after 5 minutes and several gallons of water. "You should know full well that looking at the future wife of a Hokage like that will get you a quick nap." Dusting himself off as if nothing had happened, Jiraiya responded, "That doesn't mean I'll give you the information you want. Now the price goes up, and I won't settle for that jutsu of yours anymore." Naruto created the well-known hand signal, Henge, from the smoke cloud and stepped Anko, dressed normally, saying, "Fine pervert." His voice was very flirtatious as he said, "Ogi-sama." Then he grabbed the jacket's edges and pulled them open, revealing yet another jacket, which made the Sannin fall in shock and Anko's form laugh. All right, he finally gave in and opened the second jacket, revealing to him what he had seen in the office. His jaw remained agape until Hinata performed a brief water jutsu over his head, soaking him, but Jiraiya never moved after he swiftly dispelled the henge and returned to normal. "That was better than I imagined," Jiraiya said, presenting a small scroll. "Here is a map to where the box was hidden. Be careful. There is an extra near cage-level trap, set up by Hiyashi, guarding the site in addition to whatever the previous Hokages planned. Hiyashi was afraid that you would be able to retrieve the unknown secrets it contains and be able to destroy the Hyuga since it could contain jutsu of his that can easily get by the Kaden. Now I'm sure whoever wants you to retrieve the box wants it unopened, but it is for your eyes only, so read the contents and remove anything that could be dangerous in someone else's hands before presenting it to them." "Sure. Thanks Ero Sennin." Before her fiancé gently dragged her out of the area, Hinata said, "Yes, thank you Ero-sama." Before long, they were outside Konoha's east gate and on their way. "So, Naruto-kun, what do you want to talk about while we walk?" "Well, I definitely want you to teach me a bit on politics while we are away. I've gotten so far behind that I need all the time I can get to learn to be Hokage, although I could use Kage Bushins to study faster." With a hint of disappointment, she answered, Yeah, that is good I guess." When Hinata said, "I suppose there is plenty of time for that later, so why don't we discuss when you want to marry me?" A heartfelt smile replaced her disappointed expression. "Now that is definitely something I really want to talk about. When would you like to get married, Naruto-kun?" Hinata smiled at him before stopping and giving him a passionate kiss before they resumed their stroll. "Personally, I don't care when we get married. You have given me everything I wanted, so it is completely up to you. When do you think is the soonest we should do it?" she asked. Hinata laughed as Naruto stumbled on the level road, saying, "I can get it all together about 2 weeks after we return. That way no one will know that I got pregnant on this trip and not after we got married. Well, I've decided that I want it to happen soon and our trip should coincide with the appropriate timing, so I'm going to have sex with you every morning and night until I'm pregnant, but don't worry, I won't stop being intimate after getting pregnant." She smiled and nodded as he asked, "So that was what got you so horny this morning? Remember the last chapter?" Hinata squealed and jumped into his arms, so he carried her while she continued kissing his cheek. "That's fine, it will definitely be fun getting you pregnant. How many do you want?" "I'm thinking at least 2. She caressed his cheek, following the lines of his birthmarks, and said, "I think we should have 3 or 4, is that okay?" Hinata gave him a final kiss on the lips before leaving his warm arms to walk by his side. "Sure. But we need to have them all within a short time frame so they can all play with each other. I don't want one of our children having to live through our childhoods." After silently scouting the area with her Byakugan, she deactivated it and tugged on the blonde's arm. She blushed and admitted, "Naruto-kun, I don't think this was a very good topic to talk about." "Why do you say that?" "Well, I get turned on by the thought of having kids." Hinata was obviously perplexed by his statement and looked for any hint of a joke in his face. I see, well, lead the way. What do you mean? Inquired the girl. Hinata joyfully took hold of his arm and led him off the main trail to a small clearing where they spent an hour resting and eating lunch at the nearby stream. I saw you scouting the area. You were looking for a place to rest for a while, so lead the way, sexy. After picking up all the tools from lunch, Naruto grinned to see his future wife watching him closely. She licked her lips sensuously as she continued to gaze longingly at him. Hey gorgeous, should we get going or do you want to go at it again? She asked. He gave her his hand, helped her stand up, and led her back to the main trail, saying, we better not, we're already an hour behind. I'll just enjoy myself with you later tonight. They conversed informally until the sun was sinking, being careful not to bring up children again so they wouldn't have to stop. Hinata found a spot near a bigger river that would be ideal for camping because night was just a few minutes away. After eating their dinner, the couple was cuddling by the fire after the tent had been set up for about 2 hours. With a sweet yawn, Hinata started a lengthy sequence of hand signals and then momentarily activated her chakra. What was that? The blonde asked. That was a genjutsu I learned a while back that hides the camp from sight, and if it gets disturbed I feel that this is very useful since no one needs to stand guard. Come on now, let's go to bed. As soon as he held her on his lap, she began to gently kiss his neck before suckling him more. But it isn't that late, I'd like to sit here with you by the fire longer before going to sleep. He shivered at the close contact, and she felt comfortable with herself. She revealed, who said anything about going to sleep? I just said, bed. Naruto grinned, got up, and carried her into the tent. A few minutes later, a loud scream that sounded like someone's name broke the silence of the night. Naruto woke up early to find the stunning, nude Hyuga lying on his shoulder and stroking his chest with her fingers. You know, even though I was hated for so many years and had nearly everyone against me, waking up to you by my side makes me feel like the luckiest person alive, said the brunette. Stretching out with a big yawn, she says, I know what you mean, I just thought of a chakra control exercise while waiting for you to wake up that should be really fun. Do you want to try it with me? He yawned and said to her, yeah, sure, what do we do? With a cute and naughty smile, she told him, well, it's where you and I have sex on top of the river. After making sure the river was clear of people, Hinata pulled him out of the tent and led him to it. Where do you come up with these ideas of yours? First you get the idea to have sex with me while I sleep, and then to do it on top of the water. You sure know how to have more fun than usual. We can all assume that they had a good time and carried on with their journey. They eventually came to a huge staircase that led up the side of a mountain after several more days of travel. Looking at the endless stairs, a frustrated blonde said, I wonder if there are places to camp on that thing. It might take over a day to climb that. Come on love, let's start. The sooner we get the box, the sooner we can go home. He nodded in agreement and took her hand firmly before they began their ascent up the stairs. There was no sign of the top or bottom of the stairs, and the sun was traveling downward for the day. After a strenuous ascent, the couple decided to take a break and sit down on the stairs, each pulling out their canteen for a drink. Leaning back into Naruto's body, Hinata took a position between his feet on the step beneath him. As he began massaging her shoulders and neck, she sighed with satisfaction. She was simply enjoying his attentions, so she didn't even hesitate when he asked for a brush, which she gave up right away. When he abruptly stopped, she let out a disapproving sound. Hey, that was feeling good. Why did you stop? She grumbled. There was something that was bothering me. She was about to say something when the hairbrush, which she had forgotten to give him, carefully combed through her long, dark hair, making her feel as though she was in heaven. To her delight, he kept brushing her hair until the stairs had an odd incident where nearly all of them vanished, revealing that they were at the top of a 10-step staircase. They felt and heard a rumbling behind them. All of a sudden, as they turned to face the epicenter, they heard a strange voice and saw an opening begin to form inside the rock. The voice said, the first test of caring has been passed, you may proceed. Hinata, a little irritated that the amusing behavior had to end, commanded, damn it, you're brushing my hair again later, okay? He whispered in her ear, I'd love to. Then he kissed it, making the hair on the back of her neck stand on end. She broke away, grabbed his head, pulled him into a passionate kiss, and stood up before he could move. Halfway to the opening, she shook him out of his reverie and said, well, you coming? Why is it that I can make love to you but a simple heated kiss does that to me? With a smile on her face, she took his arm and dragged him into the exposed, dark hallway. My guess is that it's because you love me. In the dark hallway, he asked, hey Hinata-chan, what is the purpose of your Hyuga robe? It is a traditional robe that has lost its meaning over the years, but I wear it for different reasons. It is very comfortable, it conceals everything men ogle, and the reason I wore it for the trip is it makes a soft and clean surface anywhere for anything we wish to try and that you have already found out. Naturally both of them blushed when that was stated. Okay, but are you supposed to be naked under it? Hinata led them swiftly to the end of the hall where it seemed impossible to pass. No, that's for you, was her straightforward response. It gets very dark up here, don't let go of my hand and I'll lead you through with my Byakugan. She was momentarily taken aback by the name, but she had to brush it off for the time being. Do you see anything like an opening behind the walls, Hina-chan? No, I don't see anything, it is just a usual dead end, I'm sorry. The previous voice abruptly reappeared, saying, there's nothing to be sorry about, even I have no idea where to go. You have made it this far, so you are pure of heart, you must answer the next riddle or the mountain will collapse upon you. What is the strongest piece of paper in the universe? Naruto yelled, what the hell is that for a question? I don't know, but it is a do or die question, so we must figure it out. The strongest paper I have ever seen is a parchment I've used that costs about as much as a single C-rank mission. I've used it to write a sealing jutsu to lock the Hyuga safe. But the answer is something harder than a simple parchment. Naruto smiled broadly as her knowledge sank inside. There was another rumbling as another opening appeared. That's it, Hina-chan. I know the answer. The strongest paper in the universe is the paper seal holding the gates of Kyuubi's cage shut. As Hinata gazed at him with a mixture of admiration, love, and a tinge of unease, he said, well, that was easy enough. Naruto-kun, you are probably the only one capable of answering that one. No one else has seen the cage but you. It was still quite dark, so nobody could see the Hyuga's flushed cheeks. Well, I suppose you're right, I knew you had smarts to go with your hot body. Fortunately, there was enough light coming from the recently opened passageway to eliminate the need for the Byakugan to direct them. The eerie light shone directly on the box they were searching for as the passageway led into a sizable cave. After activating her dojutsu, Hinata looked around and said, I would bet that thing is trapped, can you see anything? No, I see nothing resembling a trap. Naruto cautiously approached the box, barely getting a foot in before a barrier formed around them. Well, then I guess I need to spring the trap, wish me luck. What is hot, salty, and satisfying when it slides down your throat? Oh, the possibilities that a person could answer, haha. You have 2 minutes to answer this riddle or you will suffocate. When Hinata did the same, Naruto grinned and said, well, that could mean many things if you spend too much time thinking about it now. Since everything is something I could answer, it could only be one thing. Ramen. They all yelled at once as the barrier was removed. The voice had a laugh. Welcome, Naruto, your birthright awaits you, my son. The blonde's eyes began to well up with tears as he heard what he believed to be his father's voice. He was going to find the missing piece of his entire life, where he came from. When he walked to the box and took it out, he opened the box right away to find a sheet of paper addressed to him along with 2 small scrolls. Naruto, you have conquered every obstacle you were destined to encounter. If you were reading this, I would be proud. I must admit I apologize for putting such a burden on you, but you will soon comprehend. I'm sure that someone has compelled you to come here in order to test your humanity. So take this paper and your family's scroll for yourself. And give the other scroll to the fools who sent you. There will be a surprise for both of you when they retrieve the scroll. Hokage Yondaime. After pocketing the aforementioned documents, Naruto declared, we got what we came for. Let's go. The pair stepped out into the night's darkness through another freshly made opening. Hinata was distracted and didn't pay attention, so instead of responding to him, she came up with her own question. Dark already, what should we do now, Hina-chan? Naruto-kun. Can I ask you a question? You don't need permission, so ask me anything. Naruto sat her sideways in his lap and began to play with her hair, asking, why did you start calling me Hina-chan? When I see you, I just want to hold you and play with your hair, and feel your soft skin like one would do with a doll. That is why you are my Hina-chan. Hinata had to fight the urge to nod off in his tender care in order to retrieve what she was determined to bring back. I just remembered when Sakura was with us at the cabin, she said that I was playing with a Hinata doll, and I realized that was true. You have a serious problem if you can't remember what she wanted. She grinned at his shocked look and gave him a quick kiss. Well, there is something I do that no doll can, Naruto-kun. Would you like to undress me and make love to your Hina-chan? She said. I would love to, and I love you. They spent the remainder of the night contentedly in each other's arms, sleeping off their newly discovered fatigue until dawn. Of course you do. And I love you. It wouldn't be making love if we didn't. Once more, it was morning, and they resumed their 2-hour morning routine before heading back to Konoha. While traveling, Hinata was trying her best to give her fiancé a head start on his Hokage training by teaching him some of the finer points of running a village or clan. They were alert after the second day of travel when they realized there were no natural sounds. After 15 minutes, Hinata's unique eyes caught a glimpse of something rapidly approaching from the west. Naruto. Enemy dead ahead in the trees. Naruto had already charged a shot in his pistol and used his precise aim to take the intruder's head off when the second intruder appeared, pointing a huge bandaged sword inches from the dark-haired Hyuga woman while wearing a plain black hooded cloak. Well, what do we have here? I heard someone was coming for the hidden treasure of the temple. I just never thought I'd find a Hyuga and a blonde kid. This will be very profitable indeed, taunted the individual. Holding the hilt of his katana, Tetsuda, Naruto screamed, "Hey, sharkbait, stay away from her, got it? Now where is that Uchiha bastard that you always kiss ass to?" The shark man, still holding his sword dangerously near the Hyuga, demanded, "Well, he died a long while back. I am the last surviving member of the organization known as Akatsuki after their plans were destroyed. How do you even know of this?" Naruto snatched up his katana and loaded it with a ton of chakra. Well, I guess something good came from the fox protecting me. You will die here, Kisame. He said. He threw the sword straight at Kisame, forcing him to concede to Hinata as the blade lodged in the ground and created a barrier around her. "Tetsuda, protect Hinata, great barrier." She screamed angrily, "I could probably take him myself. I don't need you to protect me, Naruto." Naruto landed directly next to the barrier, keeping a close watch on the swordsman. She stared at him for a moment before realizing what he was saying and turning to face the ground. "I know you can take care of yourself, but what would happen if his chakra-draining sword was to come close to a possible third person forming within you?" she asked. "I'm sorry, I wasn't thinking about our child, I just didn't want to be thought as weak." Naruto watched the bandages come off the big blade in the attacker's hands and said, "You were never weak in my eyes. Now just sit back and relax while I take care of this idiot." The now uncloaked nin demanded, "I will shave your skin off with my samahada." As he rushed toward the blonde in order to stop the attack, Naruto summoned the enormous blade of Kirikorosu. Without flinching, Naruto spun around to bring down his own attack, pushing hard on his blade to launch himself into the air. Kisame was knocked to the ground by the sheer force of his powerful downward slash, which was blocked. Before rolling out from under the sword and launching himself at Naruto, Kisame yelled, "Not bad, but it isn't over yet." This forced Naruto to defend before he could launch an attack. From what he could tell, each attack was very strong but didn't seem to be specifically directed at him. He mentally called out, "Oh shit, Kirikorosu, how are you holding up? Could be better. You are correct that he is no longer attacking you, but attacking me. If you can access my second form, you should be able to attack without having the chakra drained from me." "Wait, you have a second form?" "Yes, but it can only be accessed by someone pure of heart and in need of protecting people. The perfect weapon for a Hokage." Kisame landed a powerful slash on the wide edge of the sword, saying, "I understand. There is nothing I'd rather do than protect my new family I'll have in a few months." When he saw and heard the blade crack under his attack, his bluish face twisted into a smile. However, when he felt a sharp pulse jump from the blade, the smile disappeared when the blade edge revealed a chrome-like gleam. The enormous Zanbatu's silvery hue changed to a light-absorbing black. The sword's guard eventually grew around his hand, forming a smaller, retractable blade that was 5 inches long from the hilt. When Kisame saw the changed blade, his eyes grew wide. Kisame slowly retreated from the blonde out of fear of the blade. "That's impossible. You couldn't possibly have the legendary sword Kirikorosu, the slayer of 10,000 demons. It was banished into oblivion 200 years ago since it wouldn't take another wielder." "Well, I guess you can say I've been to oblivion and back. Kirikorosu, lend me your strength." Naruto grinned at Kisame's terrified face as a dark blue aura surrounded the blade. Naruto bounded forward, bringing the blade down at an awkward angle and slicing through Samahada. "I would let you live if I knew you were to change your ways, but you are a criminal through and through. So as the newly elected Hokage, I, Uzumaki Naruto, sentence you to death as an enemy of Konoha." Naruto exclaimed. He pushed the hilt forward as the tiny concealed blade exposed itself, piercing the former Mist Nin's throat and permanently silencing him. The instant Naruto's enormous blade plunged into the ground due to exhaustion from his brief but fierce battle, Naruto collapsed onto his back. Hinata was at his side in a matter of seconds after the barrier surrounding him collapsed as soon as he fell. "Naruto-kun, are you okay?" she inquired, her concern evident. Naruto grinned as he turned to face her. He was staring up at her slightly open robe when she looked down and said, "Hey, Hina-chan, nice view." His remark made her blush, but she knew how to make it go away. As she had anticipated, he blushed a little and then stumbled to his feet. "Well, after you get cleaned up from your fight, you can look at it all you want." She laughed at his eagerness to see something he had been spending twice a day with for the past few days, but she gladly complied and took him to a stream to clean up. "All right, gorgeous. Where is the closest stream?" she asked when they were clean. It was around 3 p.m., so they made the decision to set up camp for the night and depart in the morning. In addition, how else could they fulfill her pledges to have a child? With the exception of the couple's intimate activities, the final few days passed without incident, and they eventually made their way back through Konoha's gates. As they made their way through the town to the Hokage Tower, they encountered Sakura but were welcomed by friendly faces. "Hey you two, how about telling your friends you were leaving on a trip? Some of us like to know where you were," she chided them. Naruto, attempting to flee, replied, "Sorry Sakura-chan, it was a spur-of-the-moment thing. You're back now, so who cares anyways? Have you two, consummated your engagement?" asked the nosy doctor as Hinata raised 2 fingers. They both smiled and flushed. Hinata continued to smile at her, saying, "Twice already? You might get pregnant at that rate." As they passed the medic, Hinata said, "We want children, Sakura." She stopped and turned back to face her when the couple saw Sakura blush in her own world and collapse to the ground. They burst out laughing, and it wasn't twice, it was at least twice per day. After witnessing her friend fall, Hinata asked, "Do you think we should help her?" They proceeded to the tower but were once more stopped by a sizable crowd of giggling villagers who said, "Nah, she'd let us sit there if we did the same." They moved through the crowd and joined in on the laughter as soon as they saw Hinori in a pink ballerina costume. "What's so funny?" they asked. As Naruto's laughter increased, Hinata questioned, "Why is he dressed in that?" Hinata gave him a very angry look before releasing his hand and approaching the blind Hyuga. He performed a leg sweep powered by chakra, snapping his legs like twigs as he landed face first in excruciating pain, leaving the crowd silent. "What, you think you are the only one he hurt? For a moment after what he did I was blinded by anger and almost left you. Now just the thought that I even considered doing that has haunted me since then." After kicking the blind ex-Hyuga again, Hinata walked back to Naruto's side and aggressively took control of her fiancé's lips as she kissed him passionately before dragging him into the Hokage Tower. "I should just kill you now. I tolerated the fact that Naruto only took your eyes because he is just that kind, and I even let you stay in my house because I could tolerate the pain you caused me, but when I learned that you nearly cost me the love of my life with your dirty trick, that is the last of my tolerance. Hinori, you are no longer a Hyuga. I strip you of all your ties to the house and you are never to come within 100 yards of the Hyuga manor or you will be executed on sight." She pushed him gently into his future office, where Kakashi and Anko were playing rock paper scissors for paperwork duty, and smiled at his stunned expression. Knowing she had caused it again, Kakashi lost and gave in to the demons of paperwork. Anko grinned when she won, and her smile grew when she saw Hinata wearing her Hyuga robe. As she was leaving, she muttered, "Yeah, you better keep that robe on, girl." As he watched the entire event, Kakashi asked, "What was that about?" While Kakashi had a dreamy expression on his face, clearly from picturing Anko with another woman, Naruto calmly said, "Well, I guess we had a bet about who has the better body. Her or Hinata. Let's just say she lost horribly and may be considering batting for the other team for a while." At long last, Kakashi returned to reality. The Jonin said, "So then, what can I do for you?" Naruto took out the hilt half of Samahata and placed it on the desk, saying, "Well, we just got back from our journey for the Yondaimi's box he hid for me, and we just wanted to let you know that." Kakashi's eyes widened as he saw the ruined sword in front of him. They quickly left him to the paperwork at hand, avoiding the subject of, "I see. Well, I guess everything went well for you two. I guess you can go. I'll transfer the bounty to the Hyuga account since the two of you are most likely sharing already." The couple hurried to the Hyuga manor, where the adamant members of the community were already anticipating their arrival. The self-appointed leader exclaimed, "Ah, I see you have returned. Where is the scroll?" Naruto suspected that the individual in question was trying to obtain the scroll that was concealed in his jacket, which he was now wearing. He pulled out the box because he didn't care about it anymore, but the man's avaricious hands quickly grabbed it. "You can have what is in the box only if you open it here in front of everyone." Naruto said. The man broke the seal on the scroll and pulled it open because he had it in his possession and didn't mind. The room was immediately covered in a haze as smoke immediately poured out from the writing on the scroll. Painful cries broke the stillness of the room, and then there was a gurgling sound, which was clearly coming from the man's throat being cut open when the smoke cleared and another spiky, blonde man with a tri-pronged kunai in hand appeared over the leader's corpse. Almost everyone's fear quickly gave way to shock before he saw his lookalike. The blonde turned to the other members of the group with hatred. He hurried up to the younger man and gave him a tight hug as Naruto watched with a mixture of pleasure and mild disgust. "Oh, Naruto, it seems you have grown up well." With tears in his eyes, the man retreated from Naruto and said, "Yondaime, I've wanted to know the answer to one question my entire life. Why me?" Naruto became unable to speak as tears began to well up in his eyes before leaping forward and giving the father he had never met a hug. How could I have put another parent's child through what you endured if I couldn't bring myself to do it to my only son? I couldn't, so that is why you took the burden, because you are my son. He let go of his father and gathered himself, saying, "It has been very hard, father, but at least all the pieces of the puzzle are coming together." As the onlookers once more displayed sadness, Naruto inquired, "So how long will your clone last?" "Maybe for another 5 minutes at the most. So what would you like to know about your family?" replied the Yondaime. He took Hinata's hand and dragged her to his father, saying, "Nothing. I really just want to introduce you to someone." The older blonde approached her and gave her a firm hug. "This is Hinata, clan head of the Hyuga. In a few weeks she will be my wife and the future mother to my children. I had many things I wanted to ask you, but it doesn't really matter now. It is all in the past and Hinata is my future. Thank you for giving my son the love he deserves. You appear to be a perfect balance to him. Continue to make him happy, since I see in your eyes that just being near him makes you happy." He released Hinata from his embrace and gave her a questioning look. "Yes, I will definitely keep him happy, and I will be the best wife and mother. I will do anything for the Hokage." He said, "Hinata, I don't want you to do it for me," but stopped instantly when he noticed that they were both grinning mischievously. The three of them burst out laughing as she proudly declared, "I'm not doing it for the Yondaime Hokage, but for my soon-to-be husband, the Rokudame Hokage." Naruto swiftly created 3 clones and extended his hand, saying, "You have really chosen well. My son, your mother would also be proud. Have Ero Sennin tell you of me and Yuki later, and make sure to study that scroll. It holds everything needed to perform all my jutsu, including the Rasengan." As his father grinned and opened his mouth to speak, a brilliant blue ball of chakra materialized in the younger blonde's hand. "I know you don't have much time left, so I just wanted to show you one thing before you go." His eyes doubled in size as winds encircled the sphere, causing tendrils of chakra to form into rotating blades around the ball. "I thought you would like to see a Fuden elemental of the Rasengan before you had to go." "Yes, you are right. I've wanted to see the power it would create, but you aren't quite there yet, my son. There is still more power hidden in that for you to unlock, and right now that form seems much too dangerous to use without destroying your arm in the process of letting it loose. But I guess your demonic friend can still heal that if you need to. I am truly proud of you, my son. The Rasengan is now solely yours. I have no further claim to it. Protect the village well." With a final wave and smile, the clone poofed vanished. "Well, I guess that is taken care of. Anyone else have a problem with me being Hokage?" The other men simply shook their heads and hurried out of the room without saying anything. Hinata gave them a stern look, and the other Hyuga walked out the door. "I'm sorry you couldn't spend any more time with him. You spent the time introducing me when you should have asked some other questions." She offered an apology. "Like I said before, you are all that matters in my life now. I'll find out that other stuff later, but now I have another goal in life. I promised you would be the mother of my children, and you know I don't go back on my word." "Yes, I guess you did promise." He heard a click at the door, and when he turned to face it, he saw Hinata completely undressed in front of him, her hand still on the deadbolt with her sly smile in full force. She sat at the conference table and showed her fiancé who she was. "Then why don't you show me how determined you are to come through with your promise?" He took off his clothes to join her, so she didn't have to try any more enticing. The epilogue. After some time, Naruto and Hinata were married as they had always desired. Although she got married this time, the wedding proceeded pretty much as planned from her last attempt. After that, they had a great time, experiencing a lot of private things that should be kept private. Before Hinata began to feel the effects of the trip she took with her husband, another 2 months passed, and Sakura formally announced that she was pregnant when they checked into the hospital with the aid of the Kage Bushin technique. Naruto was able to absorb all the knowledge required to perform the job, which brings us forward another 5 months to the day he is inducted into the Hokage's seat. Naruto gently nudged his extremely pregnant wife and called out, "Hinata-chan, it's time to wake up." Before being assisted out of bed, she yawned and opened her eyes. She walked to the bathroom in her nude state and paused to gaze at her reflection. She stopped, and Naruto was quite upset to see a tear roll down her cheek. He approached her from behind, kissed her neck, and ran his hands over her protruding belly. With tears in her eyes, she said, "How can you even look at me like this? I'm so fat and ugly." He simply nuzzled her neck and held her closer. "You are still very beautiful, Hina-chan, and I love every inch of you." She stood in front of the full-length mirror, clearly not believing a word he said, and demanded, "Show me one good thing about how I look." She turned around and gave her husband a passionate kiss, hoping that he would believe everything he said. "Come on, Hinata-chan. I still love every part of you, your beautiful face, your elegant neck, of course your boobs, which have gotten a bit larger but are just as fun to play with, and most of all I love your stomach where you safely hold our child." Thank you, but I still don't know why you still enjoy sex with me. I can barely do anything. Hey, you are still very fun to be with, and I know having sex reminds you how much I love you. Besides, it is safe as long as you are up to it. Now get ready quickly and I'll give you a massage before we leave. He couldn't resist her plea and, with time to spare before the ceremony, helped her wash every inch of her body and even give her the massage she needed. Why don't you help me with getting cleaned up? It'll go much faster. After putting on a simple black shirt and pants, Naruto assisted his wife into the Hyuga robe, which she had only worn since she started to show off. The sight of it still makes him sexy because of all the times they have traveled together. He gave her a tight hug before making some hand signals and vanishing in a burst of light, only to reappear in his new office holding her when the pair arrived. All of the current acting Hokage were present, grinning at them and congratulating them on their child and his Hokage status. On her way out the door, Anko said, "Hinata, you are still gorgeous." This made Hinata's otherwise gloomy appearance much more cheerful. Aware of the situation, she asked her husband, "How many plates of dango did that cost you?" Her smile was still full as she nodded and was led to the platform of the Hokage Tower, where Naruto was just introduced as the Hokage to a lot of cheering and commotion. "Only 3. It would have been worth at least 10 to see you smile like that again. How about we go get me my robes, beautiful?" she asked after donning his Hokage robes and hat. He put his arm around his wife and held her close while they both grinned at the onlookers. After another month, Hinata was in the hospital, threatening to kill the pink-haired medic for not telling anyone that she was expecting fraternal twins rather than a single child. Unfortunately, Naruto's hand suffered the most damage during the procedure, but he felt that it was well worth it when he saw a dark-haired girl and a blonde boy lying in his wife's arms, both of whom had the obvious signs of using the Byakugan. "Naruto-kun, they're just so beautiful, but what should we name them?" He pondered for a while before asking, "Can we name her Yuki, means snow, after my mother?" Naruto grinned at his kids and kissed his wife before taking the two and leaving her to sleep off the day's events. "Well, how about Kessen, means determination? I think I've wanted a boy with that name since I started to fantasize about having a family with you. Kessen, Yuki, welcome to the world. Now go to your father. I'm very tired and need my rest for you too." There was little more to say about the Rokudame Hokage than that he was an excellent husband, father, and leader. His kind demeanor contributed to the Hyuga's strict clan rules being abolished, allowing anyone to follow their passions and fostering a more familial environment within the manor. The Hokage made sure that no one was ever left homeless or alone because of his attitude, which also prevented Konoha from getting involved in wars and allowed the village to grow into a beautiful, prosperous land. Hinata, his wife, only had the 2 kids, but because her husband was known to bring home orphans who were passed over for adoption, their family grew to 10. From his position next to Tsunade, high upon the Hokage monument, Konoha will always remember the Hokage who was raised as an orphan and overcame all odds, while suppressing the strongest demon within, to become the greatest ninja in history. He will also always be looking down on the village.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.